And we finally bleeping made it. It is now time for playoff football.
I mean, Mo, we already had playoffs. We had finals, actually, this week, so I don't know what you're talking about.
How tired are you?
Yeah, I was a little bit tired.
I am shocked this week.
Yeah, I was a little bit off course when we went out for late night eats afterwards, but that's okay.
It's fun. It's fun. Good times.
It's fun time. It's been a while since we actually did that, right?
Yeah.
It's been almost what, 3 years?
Well, since the pandy.
Did we? Hold on. Was there? No, there was no road show for Fall Cup.
We had a road show
For spring?
for spring last
But it
year.
was very
but we
tamed.
do it. But restaurants are closed.
Yeah, we were in the Sheen anyway, right? So, but anyway, we're back. We're back. Playoffs are officially underway, as Eagle made the point before. We had the women's finals that were on Monday, so check out those games that are now on YouTube. Some great action that we had from the Tier 1 and Tier 2 finals. Tier 1 coming down essentially to the last 3-4 minutes, probably 2 minutes left in the game in that matchup here. But check it out. It's on YouTube. So PZ, Eagle, and I, it's a bit of a different show because there's more heavy lifting in this show because we cover every single bleeping game.
That said, salute 35 plus. Salute women's tier 1. Salute women's tier 2.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon. And Div 1, we'll see you even sooner because we're not going to talk Div 1 this week because there are no imminent playoff games.
Exactly.
There is one quick Div 1 story, though. It's kind of cool. Basically, the entire community sided with Alex Nedopius to move the games so that he can be there because he had a vacation planned. And there's the time to do it, right? Like, there's enough time between now and the finals that they could do it. So,
who from D1 would they not side with? Like they say, well, bleep
you
this
have to be a colossal asshole not to side with Alex Nedopius. He's such a good dude.
I think they wouldn't do it for Gino DeFazio if he was.
Oh no. Oh, I thought you meant like who wouldn't do it for.
Like I'm saying, like Alexander, great guy.
AMP,
people
right?
like no problem. But if there was one guy that they would say bleep this, they were not going to do it for this guy.
Marco Maciosha.
No, I think they do.
He wanted the edge. He would do it for the edge.
Maybe. I think Marco would be the invert. I think Marco would say no if it was safe for the old D boys finest.
Oh, sorry. I was answering the same question. I was answering my own question both times. I was saying he would be the guy to say no. As to who. Yeah, Gino's a safe one.
Same thing happened, by the way, in Co-Ed 2, where La Secte have a wedding on the day there's supposed to be a game. And so 300s have figured out a way to actually have their game on the Sunday night instead. So they're going to have the game moved to support that. So also big shout out to La Secte and 300s.
I do want to say on the front end, don't ask for your games to be moved.
Oh, no. So the only times we consider it or we try is because there's literally hey, my entire team is at a wedding on that day, and the wedding was scheduled 18 months in
we also
advance.
don't consider it. We're doing it in these situations because there's small divisions and it doesn't affect 100 teams because you don't realize how many teams you're requesting.
It's like a 6 degrees of separation, the butterfly effect.
So
right?
Div 6, Div 5, Div 4, Div 3, Div 2, don't ask. The answer is no.
And if you have any wonderings in terms of, why not? Did you see our games on Sunday night?
You're gonna think
Yeah,
it. You're gonna think it anyway. You're gonna think it anyway. It's because I hate you. That's all.
It was a bit of a bleep show on Sunday.
I'm a person who hates you, whoever you are, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Calling the Audible.
So let's get into this because we have a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover here. We're going to start off with the 6s, the 6 and 6Ds, as Eagle's trying to adjust as.
I didn't actually.
So PC's got to move a little bit now. My hair's awful. I got to get my haircut tomorrow, which is all good.
Nice pompadour.
Yeah, I know, man. It's just, you know what, man? Like when I get my hair like this, it's like, it's just whatever. It has its own life.
Yeah. What are you, a hippie?
A little bit, yeah. I'm going the hipster look today, but tomorrow I'll get the haircut.
But you could have done anything to your hair. Like, for
know.
example, put anything in it, run a comb through it, put
I
a hat
do,
on,
but I
put your hood on. You have a hood.
I could. So I'm going Bill Belichick today, guys, all right?
That's better. That's
We're
better.
going to go Bill Belichick today, okay, guys? So Bill Belichick.
You're going to draft someone 2 rounds too high?
Exactly. Take a strange pick,
Nice.
Exactly. All right, let's dive into it. We're going to go 6 first. Eagle, is that the plan du jour?
Do you want to do Div 6 or 6D?
We'll go 6D because it's the below the higher end of 6 over here. So
I mean, I guess you could say that. Not particularly, but yeah.
But I'm seeing the order of
Yes.
numerical leverage.
I mean, it's higher in just that the top teams from Div 6 are in this bracket. I'm trying to buy time for Eagle. He's taking so long.
Don't look at me. Look at the website. Shockers.
Carlo?
Here are the games for the divisional playoffs. By the way, we should probably tell people the divisional record was a little bit messed up on
Skewed.
our website. Skewed. We're going to post it on the Facebook group to make sure you don't accidentally miss a game. But definitely, like, here's the easiest way I can describe it. If you have 3 other teams with you in your division and you only play them once, the sum of your divisional games should be 3. Not 10, not 8, not whatever number you have next to your team. So clearly there's something wrong. We were looking into it. We couldn't get it fixed on time on the website, unfortunately. It's way more complicated than I ever hoped it to be, and our webmaster is not the greatest at doing stuff, which is another problem for another day.
Well, he's just not good at doing things we need to
Be
improve the
done.
website he built.
Shocker.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So I'm sure he's great at swimming, making hot dogs.
He's a good drummer.
consuming hot dogs. He's a very good drummer, actually. That's a good
I
point.
had
He's
no
actually-
idea he even drums.
Yeah. I've known him for a long, long time. He's a good drummer.
I wish he can drum like he does his websites.
I wish you could drum up some solutions,
Hopefully.
right? I thought you were gonna hit me with the.
But
I didn't have it ready.
no, of course not.
Little rim shot. But yeah, so
Rim shot?
definitely check your schedules. Check to see if you made playoffs, just in case, because that would suck if you didn't show up to a game you are eligible for. Like, well, not in 6D. We'll see it in 6. Team Poland, but we'll get there.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to that point. All right, so we have on opening weekend on Sunday at Loyola, we have 6 games on Sunday.
So just a quick note here.
Yeah.
I'm still hurt. For those watching, my hand is in a brace. It's actually gotten worse. I haven't been able to write. Eagle was watching me attempt to type just to prepare for the show, and it's comical. Typing with one hand when you're not used to doing that is difficult. So I'm sorry I haven't been able to get an article out. I actually wrote half of it, but then my hand got worse by writing the article.
oh boy.
So hopefully my old ass hand will heal soon. Because I'm also left-handed, for those who know, and it's my left hand that is.
Imagine you had a
funny.
playoff game, it would have been disastrous.
Well, the reason we don't have a playoff game, Mo, is that my hand is wrapped.
Exactly. All right, let's go into it here, E's and P's. Let's get to these 6 games on Sunday. How we going to go about this with these games here? We're going to do a quick speed dating here? What's
Yeah,
the
I would
plan?
say let's try and.
So I'll- Because it's Div 6, and we haven't had a Div 6 article in a little while. What we can do is I can give you guys you can like interview me about the teams, Mo, and I'll do the heavy lifting for this division anyway.
Also, keep in mind, the way these games are structured is the Conference A teams are playing Conference B teams, and the Conference B teams are playing Conference A teams in the seedings. So
Gentlemen,
there's hopefully going to be all brand new matchups here.
I want to get your live reaction. Oh, no, not live. I want to get your instant reaction. Can you click on the Maccabees profile, please? This is just for giggles here, please. Scroll down. What do you see?
No, this is actually normal because when we split the division, the other team is still in technically Division 6.
Ah, okay.
So this is like a copy of their team, but this shows their Division 6D games, which is none.
All right, fair enough
It's-
then.
Normal, as much as I hate to admit it.
All right, fair enough then.
So you're going to want to have to go into the Division 6 standings to see the previous matchups.
All right, no problem. Okay, let's. We're gonna do that then. We're gonna have Pease be the Mel Kiper of this whole process here. Todd. All right. First game we got Spanish Inquisition against Maccabees. Pease, let's kick off with that game here. What is your gut saying in terms of your preview of these two teams going to go at it on Sunday?
Maccabees have been
They hate us.
That's fine. I don't care. We start the new description of the show is we are people who hate you.
But we don't know who hates us. And
Doesn't
because-
matter.
and
It's just
they
the
hate
royal
us.
you. It's what's weird. What I found weird is the teams I've caught the most heat from in Division 6 this season are teams I like. By the way, Maccabees being one of them, who I think they've done a lot in terms of keeping games close. They're the prototypical make it a muddy track kind of team, and Spanish Inquisition are the opposite. They play a very a prettier style of football, right? They're sort of FPF veterans. The Buck brothers play on Spanish Inquisition, and we've known them for a long time. Maître Closon plays in Terrebonne. He actually subbed for me in Division 4B and was not out of place. Like he had a really good game actually for us on both sides of the ball. Michael Timmins, of course, is a guy we've known for a long time. Ben Boric, Etienne Dubois. These are guys who've played sort of from that, if I'm not mistaken, from that Project Mayhem family tree from back in the day. I think that's where Michael Timmins started playing with those dudes.
Maccabees are 3-3 in games decided by 7 points.
But yeah, that's my point. Is like where Special Acquisition they'll try to do is try and run up the score, because they're offensively oriented, and they're just a competent FPF offense.
The Maccabees have 89 Ts though.
Yeah.
Coming in,
well, that's what they do well. Is
yeah.
they really clutter the field. They make it difficult for you to operate, and so it'll be interesting. Do we make our? I guess we make our picks at the end. At the end. So yeah, we'll just have that as a segment. By the way, production meeting on the fly, in case you can't tell.
Yeah, we're
a little late today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there's a lot of really good players on Maccabees. But what's interesting is it's not. Michael Titleman is a bit more familiar to us.
Might be two-way player of the year, perhaps.
Probably. He's one of the forerunners. But, guys like Jody Melnick, Jonathan Yeagerman, they're not guys we're familiar with per se. But to your point, Mo, they create a lot of these interceptions. And even when they're not intercepting the ball, they're just making it so the offense can't operate at their best.
But they got Warriors' own James Wiseman on this roster.
They do?
Look at the roster for Maccabees. James Wiseman.
So I was thinking FPF Warriors, and I was trying to draw who that is. Well, he's a tall defender, Mo. Hopefully he'll learn to guard the perimeter.
But when you look at it in the context of Spanish Inquisition, right? They're 7-3, finishing off. I mean, would you think they would feel jilted that we should have been in a higher division of the quality?
Play better. That's it. Like, just win more games, and you end
7
up.
wins is a fantastic season, though, right? But
here's the thing, and we said it last show. There's no difference between winning the 6 and 6D championship because you came from the same division, right? You're winning the championship of the same division. It's just such a large division that we give out 2 championships, right?
Yeah.
So it's 1A, 1B. Like, it doesn't really matter, or it's 6 and 6D in this case. You're not divided by cap. Preseason, we just don't know enough about the team starting to make these distinctions heading into the season. So we do it before the playoffs.
So we go on to the next game here. Toon Squad taking on Tout Garni. Look, we know Toon Squad very well. They've been here for a couple of seasons.
That's another team, by the way. On an Instagram post, they said the FPF writers. I'm the only one who writes Div 6. Have their full-time job is to hate on Gardner Ross. And like, I want to say I said, if not in an article on this podcast, that Gardner Ross is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the division, and I'm so happy he's doing well.
He's a big fan of Mo Khan as well.
Well, that shows he has terrible taste.
I know.
Right? So, like, I now understand. I
can actually say this because I have the metrics. We just redid all the ratings for spring after the season's done. He doesn't even crack the top 10 in Div 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Look, 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions is solid. Like, it's
not good enough.
It's okay. Like, it's on the verge. Right? You want ideally a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio minimum, right?
It's a good first step for him, though.
That's it. It's a step in the right direction, and he's young. Like, he's from FPF Junior, right?
Yeah.
So he's developing. He's completing 55.7% of his passes. That's a little too low. You want 60%. 60 is what FPF quarterbacks aim at. So if he just improves his game a little bit, he goes from being outside the top 10 to, I think, being a dominant quarterback in the division, right? So like, I'm happy with him. I think he's really good. I think this is a great matchup for Toon Squad.
But is this an ultimate mismatch though? Because TG is 2-8 coming into this game. They have an awful point differential against.
So TG's got better at certain points this season. They got better towards the second half. The scores don't entirely indicate that, but I thought they were going to be an 0-10 team. Based on the first couple of weeks, I thought they're not going to do much this season.
So could Greg Lee be the guy for them? Like, can he carry this on paper?
Well, he's awesome.
A mismatch of records here and be the difference for TG to win.
The problem is Anthony Palumbo. He's not accurate enough to get him the ball in good enough situations. And so
9 TF for 8 passing
and under 45% completion percentage. That's a huge red flag for me. That said, like he's had moments, and he's played from behind a lot, so that's going to affect your stats, right?
yeah.
He's having to make throws that are more difficult because the defense knows you need to score and you need to score in a hurry. They put up 20 against penetrators, who are very good defense, right?
Yep.
And they did beat Demons, who again, good team, right? So
His only game of 200 yards.
yeah. I want to say they had a sub in that game that helped. I don't remember at this point who it was. But I think that what Tutkiani have is size. They're much bigger dudes than the young Toon squad. So what they lack in speed, they can make up in size. And if they can follow the Maccabees playbook, Mo, of just muck things up and make it a dirty track, slow the offense down, they can at least make it a game.
We look at the next game here, V-Town against Betway Bandits. We know V-Town very well. Huge haters of us.
Perfect.
They've
My
boys.
favorite people in my life are people who hate me. Eagle hates me. My wife hates me. You hate me. So like,
I don't
it's
hate
awesome.
you at all.
Well, now I guess you're no longer one of my favorites.
Who from the FPF staff hates PZ? That's not in this room.
There's a public one.
Could we do that, or are we going to out someone like that? Or
I think Iggy has issues with me, like serious,
No, I don't think
deep
he
seated
has-
issues.
No, I don't think he has issues with you at all.
I know a person, R. Campana. Oh, that might be too specific.
Robert
Rob
C. Oh,
Rob
sorry,
C.
Roberto C.
RC, yeah.
Roberto C. Okay, so we got V-Town in this game. They are going to be lining up against Betway Bandits here. So we see these two teams, Peas. What is your gut, your tummy telling you about these two teams in the preview?
They kind of seem like two edges of the same sword, right? Like they're two teams that at times look really good and at other times just can't really put it together. And Betway ended the season on a high note, but before that took a loss to Primetime, albeit in a close game, took a loss to Flamingos, took a loss to Demons. Like 3 of their last 4 games were losses, right? And they're not a fully formed team in that sense. Thomas Colicchio is very good. He's a very good receiver. And there are some good parts around Tyler Havlena. But the accuracy has been a concern. He's a running quarterback. He's just not somebody who... I think the best running quarterbacks are quarterbacks who use their legs to create throwing lanes. And he's not been able to do that. For V-Town, they've been similar. They're kind of good / inconsistent, right?
Right.
And we see that with the points differential because they were 500, right, Eagle? But they had a plus minus of plus 100, which shows you when they win games, they win big, right? Jason Cassandra, very solid player. That's a good corner piece for you build around. Vito Rizzuto putting up a ridiculous 18 touchdowns in the season. He put with his 5 interceptions, maybe making some noise for two-way player as well, just because of how ridiculous the receiving stats are. But it comes down to Jonathan Velasco, who's a quarterback I like a lot. He improved this season. He's getting closer to 60% completion. He has that 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He's playing winning football. They just need to score a little bit more. This to me is one of the most interesting matchups. I would not be surprised if this game comes down to the wire.
If V-Town had 3 ties this year, let's say those 2 of the 3 are wins, and instead of being 5-2-3, there's 7-2-1. Would you put them in that category of being, hey, they're a favorite to win?
Well, no, because your record doesn't change your personnel. The team is what the team is.
But they would have been in the higher.
They would have had a harder time.
Yeah, so that's
because again, the record I think perfectly represents who they are. They're teams that when they win can control a game, can do really well, but they're going to struggle against some of the elite talent, and it's fine. It's their third season in FPF.
I think it's third season. Yeah,
So
since
yeah, it's like
spring or
that's
fall,
like you're
21.
improving every season.
Or
The arrow's going up. So I'm excited to see what they turn into. And they're a team that can, if they get the right matchups, I think they can do some upsetting. I think both of these teams are matchup dependent. It's interesting that they got each other in the first round.
Well, the thing is, do you think the parity is a little bit more prevalent in this game because of the fact that both teams had 5 wins in their regular seasons. That unlike TG and Toon
But again,
Squad,
I'm not just looking at the record because the record doesn't change who the teams are. Like if one of those teams were 4-6, one of those teams were 3-7, I would feel the same about them because if you watch them play, there's good things about them, and then there's issues with accuracy. There's issues on one end. There's issues with just pacing of game and like just letting games slip away. In the case for V-Town, because V-Town they tend to win games big and lose close games.
So if one of the quarterbacks throws 55%,
It'll be Jonathan Velasco.
and do they win?
They can.
But
They might not. You know what I mean? Like, because again,
Yeah.
like, so if he throws 55% and they start the game, they score a touchdown, they get an interception, they score another touchdown, turnover on downs, they score another touchdown. That's a game where V-Town will win. If it's score for score, I feel like that favors Bitway Bandits.
Right. Killer Rays against Brewers. This is a game.
I like Killer Rays a lot.
Yeah, the Rays, well, unlike the Tampa Rays, they know how to do a better rotation with their roster here. But this is a team that has done fairly well this year. They went 6-4 during the regular season. They lost to Off Island Boys 34-20 in the last game of the year. But in your gut and what it is for this team here, Pease, quarterback play, you talk about passing completion, and that's not really their
They just go deep too often. They go deep too often because, look, I understand you have a ton of athletes, right?
yeah.
Like that's pretty clear when you watch Killer Rays. They're in the strongest subdivision in Division 6. They were the last ranked team at 6-4, right? So like that's a good subdivision. They you know, they've looked good in points. They've faced Off Island Boys who started Caleb Faulkner for that game.
Yeah.
Caleb Faulkner being a U Sports quarterback playing in Division 6. So yeah, it's a tough game, and especially given the way they play, where you know you're gonna expect Tyler Bianchi to make mistakes because he's going deep too often. But I understand you have burners. I understand Curtis Ryan's a phenomenal athlete. I know Donovan Hines is a great athlete, but you can also just get them the ball in space and let them do the work for you, right? I think he's going to mature a lot as a quarterback. Whenever I see guys who have like 9 or 8 completions in the game, I don't even understand how quarterbacks throw single-digit completions. I'm usually at double-digit completions by the second possession.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah.
And
Yeah, usually.
It has to be because you're just bombing the ball down the field all the time.
Or you just can't read the field properly
Yeah.
and have that. But on the flip side for the Brewers, like we questioned them early in the year because they got off to a disjointed start to start off the year, in which they were getting killed. I mean, you think about it, Pease, they went 0-4 to start off the season, and essentially went.
They had a tough schedule to start.
Yeah, and they went 6-2 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So it feels like they're peaking at the right time here. It feels like they found their seam of success. Now, when we look at it from the game in the game here, where's the strength lie in this roster that they can perhaps pull away with the victory because of whatever position group on the field it is?
Chris Monet is a phenomenal snapper. He's excellent. He works well in space. He understands the defense. He knows how to sit in the zone. These are all attributes that matter a lot from the snapper position. Eric Paluziak is the prototypical FPF possession receiver. James Moulton has a ton of speed and is very valuable beyond his player rating. Jeff Lefebvre, I always expect more just from his knowledge, but I understand. Listen, bro, I get it. Playing quarterback in FPF is hard.
Not easy.
Mo and I know this more than anybody,
Yeah,
right? We
not
talk about
easy.
that all the time. I will say I did have a moment of pride when I was talking to Chris Monet when I would in my article, Mo, I was introducing plays that teams can run and talking about how they can run it in a segment I called PZ's Playbook. And in one of the articles, I introduced a concept called Break X, which is a little difficult to read. It's a concept that Fred Morissette used to run Div 3, Div 2, Div B. It's a play that I've since adopted. When you start running it, it's very difficult to read, but once you understand it, you have receivers running open all over the field. And Chris Monet told me, he's like, yeah, Jeff started running it, and he found it tough, but he really likes it. He really likes to play. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, that's cool. It's cool. He's making the strides. He's trying to develop new things. That the things he was doing weren't working. So it's cool to see that he's intellectually flexible that way.
Right.
I think that's a strength for Brewers.
Flag football team, Cali de Rohan. That's Eagles team, the Rohan boys. You picked them. You adopted them when last year?
Last year, and I do believe I had the best record of the three of us.
That is incorrect. I actually had the best record.
No, because you picked the best team, and we said you were cheating. You have to pick a regular
No,
team.
we all took the same teams in the same week of week 2 of the season. How was that cheating?
I remember Eagle winning, to be honest. So I think
I remember Eagle winning.
I think Mo owes Eagle dinner.
I don't owe Eagle. It's easy. PC had the worst record.
I'll tell you what. I'll get drinks the night of Simo's wedding.
It's open bar.
Yeah. Well,
He's gonna go get the drinks.
Tell you what, it's not open bar.
Well, assuming you can carry them with your broken
You
hand.
get the drinks for the table.
Mokan, it's not open bar if you check my envelope. We're still paying for the drinks, dude.
I know, it's true. It's very.
We're
very
just prepaying for them, so they better not suck.
true. Yeah. Okay. So, I lost my train of thought now.
FFT Cavalier de Rohan.
Yes. All right. So we look at these two teams here. Peas. What is the key point in this matchup for this weekend?
Flag football team are exciting. They're a heart attack, constantly. True to their jerseys that have the Among Us font logo and all that. They're gamblers. It's what they do.
For a living?
That game isn't about gambling.
It kind of is, though, right?
I mean, no.
It's baseball. Yes, it's cloak gambling, basically.
No, it's not.
It is. It is.
It's a whodunit mystery.
Yes,
That's not gambling.
No, I guess, but you're playing percentages and odds and all that.
This is what I'll say
not
about
really.
flag football team. 'Cause
Fine.
I saw them on
Kinda
their last
sus.
game of the year.
Yeah.
And they had played against a girlfriend's team. And by the way, congratulations to your girlfriends. Cheer for us. Mr. Otis Copeland getting drafted by the Montreal Alouettes.
Oh, that's
In
awesome.
the CFL draft. He played one game for them. It was against flag football team. He went for 3 touchdowns and killed them.
Way to play in Div 6, bro.
Way to end your FPF career. One game and on a high note on the last game of the year.
Because that's what Division 6 screams, right? It screams pro athletes.
Exactly. But here, the guy that I like from flag football team is Liebland.
I was gonna say Adam Liebland. Yeah,
yeah,
he's really good. He messaged me like week 2, and it was in my requests, and I think I'd seen the message, but just it fell to the bottom of my list and forgot to answer him. And then he asked me like, "Are the games indoor or outdoor?" And then I answered him, but the game had already happened. I was like, "Bro, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm usually better at this. I missed both of your messages. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
But I'm really happy. I like them a lot. Matthew Lutner too is really good. It's a nice pairing of receivers.
They're quick though. They're very quick though.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the speed. It's the fact that again, Nick Mendelopoulos, he can move. He can move. He's a good running quarterback, but he's also willing to take checkdowns. He's willing to work methodically.
He takes sacks.
He takes a lot of stuff. But that's when you're a mobile quarterback, that's par for the course, right? So like, a sack's not bad if it's a design run and you lose a yard. Who cares? It's second and 11. Who cares?
Right, but I think it's going to be their defense because they had 22 INTs during the regular season, and they play pretty.
And it's those
decent.
same two guys, right? It's Matthew Lutner and Adam Liebland.
Yeah, and they play pretty decent defense. I mean, there were some breakdowns that they had, but it's just a high risk high reward.
It's a good Division 6 defense. Yeah. They're going to blow assignments, but they're good athletes and they're going to make up for it.
Yeah,
they bait too much for my taste, and they kind of lose guys running in different zones.
Right.
But I think they're gonna be good.
They can score a lot of points. It's a question of them stopping. The points going their way, right? It's like a service 8s and 10s, right? They can give it to the opponent, but can they stop it from being them?
They're coming into the playoffs sort of ass backwards. Like they lost the last 2 games. You don't want that, you know.
Yeah, well, in defense of them, the last game at Loyola was bleeping cold. I was miserable. They were miserable. They didn't want to have a halftime. They go, guys, can we just drop the halftime and go to the second half because it is cold? I said, refs, you cool? Yeah, we're cool with it. So there's no halftime.
Yeah, we played outdoors too early this year.
I was fine.
So
I was not.
At FPF, we always miscalculate the weather and scheduling because we played too early this year, obviously because the logistics of what happened with the bowl domes being brought down. But in the Fall Cup, we went 2 weeks too late into November. Or late October until November, where it was the worst of the worst that I had to experience.
I understand the Earth is becoming a flaming hellscape, and that
we got compost.
Soon Montreal is going to be a tropical paradise. But
which I don't want.
President Campana, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Compost. Compost is the new wave garbage, people here. That's what.
It's not garbage though. It's different from garbage.
No, it is.
Find out what you can compost and
Yeah.
compost. Definitely.
It's very important. Okay, on to the next game here. Demons, Big Fat Bats. I saw Demons play during the regular season. Wasn't really impressed with.
I thought they were gonna make a step this season, and they kind of looked good week one, and then kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah. But Big Fat Bats, when we look at them right now and how they're built towards this matchup against Demons, do they have any edges at all to perhaps pull off the win?
Matthew Zapatelli is a great athlete. He's hard to contain. He has he scored 5 rushing touchdowns this season. That's a lot in any division, right?
Right.
He has a great connection with, I am assume, brother AJ Zapatelli.
Who knows? Maybe cousin.
Maybe cousin. I'm just gonna always assume sibling. So sibling.
Uncle, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an uncle.
Hey, siblings.
Father.
Siblings can be uncles.
Yeah, for sure.
We know that. So they have a lot of talent on the team. There's a couple of guys in Chris Vutselas and Giordano Giannini who have a ton of tackles, and I don't know if those are just the weak spots on the defense or if they're just all over the field. So we'll see that once this game happens. But 11 sacks for Luca Lucchese, who's an underrated rusher in the season. I've spotlighted him in the article a little bit. He's one of my favorite rushers in the division. Eagle, remind me who they're playing, because the
Big Fat Bats against
Demons versus Big Fat Bats.
Demons, that's it. As for Demons, Demons have a lot of speed. They just aren't quite organized yet.
Right.
And so we saw Adam Antel play okay this season. It's solid. It's much improved from the beginning of their first season, but he still needs to put some more scores on the board. The defense led by Don Vass, of course. They're good. They took a big win against the struggling Stratton Oakmont. That's the way you want to go into the playoffs.
Yeah.
They beat the Penetrators, who it's kind of becoming a rivalry with those two teams, so that's cool to see to start the season. But like I said, like they kind of dipped after that. Like they faced Primetime, good team, and they lost. They beat Step Bros. They lost to Glory Boys. They seem to lose against teams you expect them to lose against, and win against teams you expect them to win against.
On to Division 6, and this is where we have the highs of the highs against the lows of the lows of the playoff format that we have.
Well, we say that there is the possibility that the teams that snuck in, let's call it, from the bottom tier might actually have a fighting chance on this, right? Because, again, I think we can all agree, I think it was Conference B was stronger than Conference A this year in Division 6. So even if you finish near the bottom of the standings, you probably have still a decent squad. So you never know. Maybe some of the teams are false kings. We'll get there in our last game, I'm sure.
And they are in this side of the bracket, too. So we'll talk about them as well.
Tropic Thunder and Thunder Buddies getting the two Thunder teams getting the buys.
Very thunderous game that will come up here. A lot of lightning as well. All right, 6 games to preview. Beer Knights, Stratton, Oakmont. What is your gut saying with these two Titans going at it this weekend?
My gut is saying Frankie Scalzo is a Division 5 quarterback playing in Division 6. He had a really good season.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. He played in fall with Part of My Swag. I'm sure he learned a lot from Brad Evans and co.
Yeah, he had some bad mistakes in the fall, but much improved now.
Michael Pietrobon's as good a receiver as they comes. Matthew Keljan, the former quarterback of this team, playing wide receiver, I think it's probably a better fit for his skill set. Defense is competent. They have 9 different players who've recorded an interception, so that's impressive to me. And Scalzo also adds a lot on the ground, almost running 3 times a game. So not like it's not all he does, but at the same time, if it's there, he'll take it. He'll take the free yards. So that's something that they'll have to watch out for. And they're playing who, Eagle?
Stratton, Oakmont.
I have too many tabs open and the internet is slow. Stratton Oakmont, they struggled in this season, and I want to say it's their first season. They gave up a ton of points. They're largely 55 rated players, so they're pretty new. Jeremy Helladad, again, quarterback struggling with accuracy. Another running quarterback. What he doesn't have in accuracy, he makes up for with his legs, but at times that's going to be difficult. They have a lot of athletes on beer nights, so he's got to come into the game with some specific plays. Maybe find ways to get the ball to Spencer Strasser and Don Romeo in space. Let them go out and get the yards. It appears that Warriors' James Wiseman is also on this team.
Well, he's doing a lot more for the FPF than he is for the NBA team. West,
They don't need him. He's just
no,
learning,
they
man.
don't. West Island Boys against Wild Hogs. I've seen the West Island Boys play.
I've seen Wild Hogs play.
I told you guys a couple weeks ago. I think it was with you or with that guy that went for like 6 hours, Iggy.
6 hour Iggy.
6 hour Iggs. That's what he is. I do
Ladies,
like.
Tell you
take
what.
note.
Tell you what, that guy doesn't need to think about baseball.
Yeah, he would be a perfect fan demographic for baseball.
Yeah, that's not what I was saying. I was saying he doesn't need Roman swipes.
Him and Leo, him and Leo Gervais would be perfect for baseball.
They both last long.
Exactly. So, look, I do like this West Island Boys team, and they do got guys that can move the stakes, but in this case, the cones for first downs and stuff.
The big cones.
Exactly. Zach
They can move
Stacy.
the big cones.
A lot of people don't give Zach Stacy.
He's good. He's really good.
But what makes him really good is that as soon as the ball is in his hands, it's that he's quicker than fast. Like he just turns up field.
He also
does
does that
5-7 more
thing you
yards.
like from high division players, where he comes back to the ball. He doesn't just wait for it. Skylar Bailiff is really good too. Nick Richard is a good third option for the team. Nick Richard more on defense rather.
Right.
Because Zach Stacy and Skylar Bailiff are the offense, but they're also the main two guys on defense. And on defense, if your third worst defender is Nick Richard, you can do a lot worse, right?
Yeah.
So, Zach Stacy doing a bit of everything, by the way. Sacks, interceptions. He had 3 pick sixes.
He's a generalized player. That's what he is.
Yeah.
There's nothing particular about him that you can say this
The
is
general.
Exactly. But if Wild Hogs do have a chance in this game, where is it for them that they can perhaps make a
Where or when?
both?
Okay, so when is next season?
Okay.
You had to think I would go there. Look, again, they're a new team. They're learning. They are not particularly organized. They've been better with Jason Armenti. Jason Armenti's cut his teeth in MFL. He's
Apparently quarterback of the year.
what?
Apparently he's quarterback of the year.
There we go. But that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
he's learned. And look, we've said for a while, MFL as the competition's grown, it's come closer to what FPF is, but it's not FPF at the same time, right? Like there is a notch above, although this is Division 6. Jason Armenti, probably a better athlete than people consider him. He can buy time. I like the raw skills of guys like Nate Caputo, Avery Kilmus, Benjamin Denis, but when I saw them play, it just seemed as though this was before Jason Armenti was on the team, so it might have been play calling, but it just seemed as though routes weren't crisp, guys weren't where they're supposed to be, and they weren't serving. That game, I believe Louis-Philippe Dalpé was quarterback.
If there's one thing that Wild Hogs have is very bright uniforms.
They do.
Yeah, I saw them play at Loyola. It was Loyola. That's right. It was Loyola about 2 weeks ago. And please, I tell you, if it was pitch black with no streetlights, they would be the streetlights.
But yeah, so I think Jason Armenti helps them, but I think they're just a little outclassed. And we'll get to our picks, obviously, but I'm tipping my hat a little bit, as I just don't think they have the organization, not even horsepower, because they have athletes. It's just the organizational intelligence to get there yet.
Dusters 2.0 against Flamingos. Seen Dusters play. Let's just say that they carry a lot of confidence and arrogance about them on the football field. And do they get a little chippy? Sure. But who doesn't get chippy in FPF? But they have a pretty good defense where they come up with timely INTs.
I will say the thing I like most about arrogant teams is when they do lose. It's fun to see that happen.
They
but
just implode, man. They melt.
That said, Dusters' defense is really good. And Dusters kind of got off to sort of a not even slow, but sluggish start, so to speak.
Right.
They tied their first game. They lost to Toon Squad. They did, it wasn't until the third game where they faced. We just talked about Wild Hogs, and they used the Wild Hogs as a whipping horse to get their offense going, and kind of found their stride.
They have a bit of a rivalry with FKU.
Yeah.
Yeah, that obviously is something that
It goes back to FF Junior, if I'm not mistaken.
It might, but they had a bit of a.
Or I think that's Flag Football Team. There's one of the teams that has a rivalry with us. I think it's Flag Football Team. Has a
they
rivalry
could
with
see each other on this side of the bracket at some point, which I would definitely go watch.
Last time they played, Dusters 2.0 beat FKU.
Yeah, Loyola. It was the game where there was a lot of controversy, a lot of chippiness that happened. But anyway, the point for this focus here for Flamingos is that if they are able to pull off the win, can they do it with what they currently have, or they're going to have to come up with INTs or some sort of turnover that results in points for them?
This is for
Flamingos.
For Flamingos. Yeah, they're going to need extra possessions, so turnover on downs, interceptions. They're just not effective enough as an offense to just play a clean game and have the other team play a clean game and just go score for score and win on converts. That's not their thing. They got smoked by Thunder Buddies last game of the season, West Island boys. They did beat a good team though in Betway Bandits, and so we've seen them be capable, right? So you need to sort of take a similar, although it's a different kind of team. Betway Bandits don't have a ton of speed, but Ariadovich avoid making mistakes in that game. And they did get two interceptions by Mason Schnick and Ben Levy. So Ben Levy's really good. Ben Levy's a really good player. He's their star. Some of these Div 6 teams are built the way you'd expect them to be built, where there's a star player and a cast around them with some decent players, some weaker players, and Flamingos are one of those teams where they're not dominant, but they do have a really good player.
Primetime Lionhearts. Lionhearts we know very well. Primetime.
Primetime have a really good defense.
Yes.
They call themselves the self-proclaimed best defense in FPF, but in Division 6, but they've been playing that role.
And they're playing against the Lionheart team that is one of the lowest scoring teams in the playoffs here. So is this a real tall task for them, Lionhearts, to squeeze points out of a rock?
It's about as bad a matchup as Lionhearts could have.
Could this be a blowout? No 5 plays.
This could be a blowout, definitely. It could be a first half blowout if things go the way Primetime expect. That's at Primetime. Like, you gotta prepare for this. Like it's Joe Morguez is a smart player. He's played high division FPF, right? Like he's going. If he senses any weakness, he's gonna capitalize, right? So if this game stays like 19-18, if Lionhearts do manage to put up points, maybe a pick six wins the game for Lionhearts, right? Like that's the kind of game I can see it being. For Primetime, they've shown a couple of times that they can score 5 times in the playoffs, but that hasn't really been their DNA, right? So I worry about that in the playoffs, but I don't think that's an issue this round. Jacob Solis has been good but unspectacular. Again, their defense has set him up. Given how well Carter Condon and like Matthew Cadigan and those guys, George Zerjotis as well, given how well they've positioned their offense because of how well they play defense, you would figure they'd score more, and they just haven't. So we'll have to see. Carter Condon, George Zerjotis, and Alessio Muro are the main guys on defense. And they have a lot of interceptions, but only 5 of them went for touchdowns. I'm saying only 5 because the other interceptions still put you in good position, right?
Right.
And that didn't translate to scoring enough, I think, for a team that I think is really talented.
Penetrators Team Poland. Poland had an awful season this year. This is definitely a real mismatch.
Well, this is the vacated seed by Henry Pisac Gang by forfeiting their last game of the season unintentionally, plus the Stormers going out.
What a wild ride to get to the playoffs.
But you're there. You have a chance, right? It's a chance, right? It's like dodgeball.
0-10, outscored by 197 points. They are the ultimate underdog.
They are the ultimate dodgeball team.
Yeah. Well, at this point, they have nothing to lose.
They're the average Joes.
I think they're the below average Joes.
They're the average
Team Poland. They're not the average Joes. That's another team.
Victor
They're average Poland.
Victor Snaj, Thomas Snaj is not a natural quarterback. He has to learn, not just play calling. Because here's the thing: is a lot of guys they listen to play calls when they're playing with a quarterback, and then they go try and execute the same plays. But if you don't know how to read those plays, it takes a little while to get there. And I think that's the point in development Thomas Snaj is at. He's a great receiver though, and I think if they had a legitimate quarterback, him and Victor Davis could do some serious damage. William Braun as well is really good, and I just think they're not quite there yet. Penetrators on the other end, they came into the season after having a really interesting fall, and they hit the ground running, so to speak. Took that loss to Demons early on, but really haven't looked back. 9-1 since that loss. Nicholas Fawn, Rocco Cristiano, great 1-2 punch. Rocco Cristiano just getting enough games to be playoff eligible. That's a ridiculous amount of speed for Division 6.
A lot of tire burning going on right now.
Yeah. Justin Goodman, really good defender. It's good. They beat Tutgani last week. They beat Lionhearts. They kind of had some warm up games after having that slow outing against Maccabees.
Yeah.
It sets up for I think a good matchup for them. They have their offense running. They got to play some weaker competition to get sort of make sure they had all their playbook set, and I think they're good to go.
Probably the game that has, I think, the most intrigue on this side of the bracket is FKU against your girlfriend's Cheer for Us. We know FKU very well, and I got to see your girlfriend's Cheer for Us firsthand just 10 days ago, give or take here.
They'll be without their best receiver.
Yeah, well,
right?
Copeland won't be there. He's got bigger things to worry about now than playing flag football here. But for your girlfriends, for them, I give them a chance. And the reason why I give them a chance is that they play decent defense, but I do like their offense because they have a bit of that we don't care. We're going to launch it, and we're going to come down with that ball in the 50-50. And that's what they showed to me in the outdoors. And they played at Loyola in the win over flag football team. And they could definitely come up with some big plays. And if they can maybe have that in their advantage where they can get in rhythm early on, and that's what they did well against flag football team. They jumped out to a fast start, didn't look back here. If they had that halftime lead, I wouldn't discount them winning that football game against FKU.
Chris Ope's really good too. We talked a lot about him in 35 plus.
Yeah. MFL guy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good player. And I'm curious to see if they can prevent FKU from scoring, because your girlfriend Cheer for Us had a hard time from preventing other offenses. And Alejandro Fonte, solid season. And he has two weapons in Manny Bezogias and Leo Diakumakos, who I think are really good. Noah Bloom, heavily targeted in this offense as well. I'm curious to see that exactly. I think if FKU has their way, they'll just be able to score. They put up 77 points in their last two games.
Yeah.
So I think this is a bad game script for your girlfriend Cheer for Us, but
And they may only have 5 guys, receivers, eligible for you, your girlfriend Cheers for Us.
you mean
For games
5 players or 6?
5 players.
Okay, well that one.
5 receivers, right? Eligible for
5 receivers or 5 players, because the quarterback's not a receiver.
Well, I've excluded the quarterback. I have the 5
Okay.
receivers right now that I've
So they'll have 6 players. Though.
Exactly.
It's a huge difference between having 5 and 6 guys.
Exactly. No, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no question.
Well, if they're your best 6 guys, it's not as bad.
Yeah, but again, we'll see what their depth will look like for that game here. So, never know. But FKU, I think, definitely has a chip on the shoulder, and they've proven yours truly wrong before in the Fall Cup. And I think they have probably the cards in their favor to go on a deeper run for sure. So
Yeah.
we'll find out.
Excited to
Pete,
see that one.
when's your article? Are we doing the picks now? Or are we doing it at the
I
end
don't
of the
know
night?
about my article, Mo. I don't know if I can write yet.
Oh boy! How about you do a podcast version? Oh, we are
We
doing a
do that.
podcast
Yeah.
version right now. There you go. Exactly.
So, like, Div 6, at least you get me on the podcast. It would suck if, you had another writer who was hurt. Although, if it wasn't me who was hurt, I would just write the article for that writer. But, unfortunately, I haven't been able to. It sucks. I love writing. It's my favorite thing to do in FPF.
If only you had someone who drives you around and takes care of your odds and ends that can
I
do
do.
for you.
I do, but he's not a good writer.
but he's a very smart person.
Yeah, he
right?
just sucks at writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, if only we knew someone like that in this league.
Yeah.
I would just make sure he has auto dictact or didact turned on. See, I don't even know words. So
Yeah.
but I
Well,
have the
he's-
technology. You just talk and it would just write for you.
I tried it. It doesn't work well.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'll try it again.
Eagle. By the way, Eagle, how many candies did you devour at the women's final?
I'd like to point out that I brought none of those for myself. Those were all.
It doesn't
handed
make
to
it
me.
better.
It does.
I promise, Your Honor, I didn't bring those guns there. I just found them and murdered all those people.
Yes.
But it's like saying, "Oh, I wasn't there during the robbery. I was outside." Well, yet you were an accessory to the robbery. So
No, I wasn't. You're the accessory, Mo. You
But-
brought me candy.
I didn't bring you candies
Then why didn't you bring me candy?
because I'm watching out for your health.
Are you really though?
Yeah.
You should have taken them then.
If I did, you would have been caw, caw.
Yeah, it would have been better than if you said nothing for 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's not my fault. If the thing was working, we wouldn't have had an issue, right?
I did help Eagle's health. I had a single Reese's peanut butter cup.
So you prevented
You know,
one.
it was funny because I had 9 of them, and I was like, "Where's the 10th one?"
Yeah, I did the thing. How do you wait, Mo? I don't know. So do you eat candy at all, or have you?
No.
But have you?
I've eaten, yeah, but
So have you eaten a Reese's peanut butter cup?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know because you eat like cardboard and shit. I don't know. You eat your mom's delicious cooking and then cardboard otherwise. So how do you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup?
Well, obviously they're bite size. You can put them in
Oh,
one shot.
I take several bites, but go ahead.
I do it in
Yeah.
one shot.
No, see, I eat the rim first. I eat the rim first. Man.
It's a technique you perfected over the
Yeah,
years.
I feel like Charles
Yeah.
Barkley all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I eat the rim first, and then I leave the soft middle, and then I eat the soft middle.
I just eat them in bites.
Yeah.
Like one
You
bite.
guys are weird.
2 bites.
You guys are really weird.
They fit.
Coming from the guy who eats the rim first.
They
then
fit in
eats-
one shot.
When I
so-
was in grade school or probably high school, like there's like a thing, the compass for math. I would
Yeah.
use it to like poke holes and cut out the middle to eat the middle first, and then eat the rim like a donut, like I had a tiny donut.
And that's how you learned about pie.
And that's how we go on to Div
That's how
5B.
I was overweight for most of my life.
So 5B, we got 4 games to look at here. Red Dragons, Cookers, Save a Horse, Bins, Warriors, Team Sexy, what could have been against 2 Fires and Half a Johnson. Let's start off with the Red Dragons game against Cookers here. So all these games are outdoors, by the way. So there's no indoor games that will be played. I look at this game here for Red Dragons, and I did see them play, and I did score cape their game, I think 2 weekends ago. They are a team that is matchup dependent, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Agreed.
And when they played Speakeasy's being the regal of this division besides lockdown. I think Red Dragons, if they have the right matchup, they can win this game. They got some decent guys on offense here that can move the stakes here. But what really will pique my interest is their defense. They have the speed, but they just don't have the wealth of experience to understand concepts, how to apply it in this type of environment playing in the flag football league.
Last time they played, Red Dragon beat Cookers 19-6. I like Samuel Kante. He's a really good player. And so I think he'll have to play a big role. Cookers, it all depends who's playing quarterback because they've had different guys play it throughout the season, which is
5 to be exact.
not a recipe for success, right? And in that game, Charles Blondeau played quarterback. He's had the most attempts on the team. He had only 4 completions in that game.
Yeah, that's not going to help you. That's
No.
not going to help you win any football games right now.
It's not.
But yet they did win 3 games, which in that context of having so many quarterbacks is pretty impressive. That 5 quarterbacks and have 3 wins.
So you played Cookers week 1.
Was it week 1?
Yes, you won by 6.
Cool. I forgot. It's been a while.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about them?
I can't remember. I honestly don't remember the game.
But yet you can remember the fact that PZ had one of your Reese's Cups.
Hey man, I
But-
gotta remember important things.
I guess.
But yet you can't remember a game that you played 1 hour.
Could you pretend you had information about Cookers?
So
No,
Eagle,
I can't. I actually can't remember that game at all.
This is a guy who has an IQ of like 600, and you can't remember that one game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
I mean, it would be, but I just didn't pay attention to it.
Okay, so let's pretend that you played in the
By the
game.
way, Cookers, take this as complete disrespect. Eagle thinks you're not worth remembering.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for game 2, so that one I also don't remember.
That was game 1. You were there. I checked the game sheet before
You
going
played.
to.
Don't remember.
Yeah, he thinks you're not memorable. So clap back.
Okay,
Clap
so
back.
are we gonna give Cookers a chance in this game against Red Dragons?
Yes.
I'm gonna give them a chance.
Red Dragons, they don't score a ton. So
No, but it's gonna be on their defense, I think, to create the offensive points for them.
yeah. So the games where they've scored the most, they had a 16-0 forfeit win, so they didn't score those points. Eagle, what can you tell us about Red Dragons?
Oh, I do remember this game now for the Cookers.
Oh, thank you. 5 minutes.
They were
after.
completely disorganized in the first game. Yeah,
Well,
this
that's the
is
first game, to be fair.
yeah. So they didn't have jerseys, didn't have pants, didn't have a playbook. People were running around, didn't know what to do, didn't know the rules. So then they imagine they figured that out as they went on.
Impressive that they made the playoffs. To go from that to making the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they finished 3-7, so in a way they kind of squeezed their way in. But yes,
Still, they
Still.
went from not knowing the rules of the game.
to knowing how to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
As for your other question, I can literally tell you nothing because I wasn't there. I was in Texas.
All right.
You weren't there for Red
Red
Dragons?
Dragons.
Okay.
No. That's the game we lost.
To be fair, I didn't check the game sheet for that
I
one.
just give the Red Dragons 4-1 though.
So, but
Well, I
generally,
mean, they played before, right? In week 9.
generally they don't
Yeah.
score a lot of points. They're somewhere between 2 and 4 touchdowns. Save the Turtles is a game where they scored a lot, but Save the
It's
Turtles
gonna
are
be
a Division
defense,
6 team, right?
It's gonna be their defense for Red Dragons.
But is that enough in the playoffs?
But Save the Turtles beat Cookers 33-14
For this
week
game.
4.
For
So
this
by
game,
power of deduction,
for this
Red
game,
Dragons
yes.
win this easily.
For this game, yes. But if Red Dragons were to progress deeper and get a big hitter team, no. They can get one game out of it, Pease, but after that, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Save a Horse, Eagles' favorite team.
don't get me wrong; they're the favorite for this game. right?
100%. I think they should win this game. Save a Horse against Benz, the Eagles' favorite team, Save a Horse, who I'd love to have a rematch with those two teams, if that's the case. And they would have to wear pennies, right? Because they wear white and you wear white. Save a Horse, Peas, I look at this team.
They previously played week 3. No, wait, I can't read. I'm sorry. Continue.
Save
That
a
was Save the Turtles. They played in week 9, where Save a Horse won 25-6.
Yeah. So it feels like with Save a Horse, they play down to their competition and can't play up to the big hitters.
So we talked about this famously last season and once this season, where Eagle thought, "Oh, this is easily a Div 3 team." When I saw them play, I was like,
yes.
They have a lot. They have the talent of a Div 3 team. They're currently a good Division 5 team.
Eagle, do you remember that?
I do.
But you don't remember the fact that you played a team in week 1 of this past season.
I
You
remember
remember them
that game
eventually.
because Terry Tam threw 7 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for pick sixes. So I remember that game very clearly.
They rely a lot on their athleticism,
But it's
And-
balanced out offense, though, right? They got 4 guys with 5+ touchdowns on that
Yeah,
offense.
well, because of the ridiculous athleticism.
yeah.
The Kyle Daniels playbook is not something that's sustainable long term in FPF, but it's going to work at this level against certain teams. If you play a team that can't take advantage of somewhat simplistic play calls, because you know what's coming. Like,
Yeah.
He's a good thrower of the football. He's accurate. He's got a good deep ball. He can throw on the move. But he takes some chances. He did throw 10 interceptions, which is, it's enough. Like it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's sort of intermediate, which is what I expected. But if you play against a strong defense, or if you play against a team with just as many athletes as you, I know containing, Brighton Wilkinson, Ty Middleton, and Tyler Highland is a lot.
Well, the 3 ties, Stewart.
And
Highland
Ty Stewart
Middleton.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, they but I think on the flip side is their defense, though. 20 INTs, I think they had, or close
So,
enough to that.
I haven't seen them a ton this season. I saw them once this season.
them
I
a
saw them
couple
play
times,
twice
yeah.
last season. Do they still run all man? Do you know, Eagle? Save a
They
horse?
change it up every now and then.
Okay, because a few times I saw them, they were predominantly playing man anyway.
But
So
in this-
that'll work again if you have the better matchup.
But that could get away with in this. They can get away with that idea in this matchup, though. They run
Yeah,
man to man.
it's just like they played Air Force One and lost. Last time they played Ben, they won. Warriors, they lost, right? Like, so like the teams who have equal caliber athletes or a high football IQ, they struggle against. And Ben are not exactly that just yet.
No.
For Ben, what do you think is the key to their success if they're gonna pull off the upset?
They need a prayer.
Okay.
You know,
They need to go to church.
I don't know if they go to church because they're playing on Saturday, so they may not go. They might go to a mosque on Friday or synagogue on a Saturday, which could be the case, right?
But if synagogue Saturday, it sucks. It's a game Saturday.
well, it's after sunset though,
That's true.
so I think it'll be okay.
Good point.
They need a prayer. They need an ultimate prayer that's going to give them the injection field to come up with.
But who is it that needs to step up?
From watching them from afar, and we can always point to the quarterback play and whether it's David Michaud as a quarterback, but I think it's going to be the supporting cast of receivers because Thomas Parent, that's a guy that has done well, but after that, though, Roy Cassie is the guy that has to step up. I think him and Parent are the two guys that have to make their plays whenever they're called upon because they had the most targets this year to combine 64 or 65 targets this year. If they're able to come up and prolong drives, and it's one of those things where you kind of want to slow it down to like a meat grinder halt here, piece, where if you can max the clock, maybe an 8-minute drive, we've seen that in FPF a couple times here, and get 7 points out of it, it kind of puts Save a Horse on their heels because
they want to play quick.
They want to play quick, and they might go deep, and then you might force a turnover, which brings back to your script of, hey, we can grind it out and get a few more points and kind of you can tire out, but wear down the mental aspect of it against a Save a Horse roster like that.
Agreed. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know how likely that is, but I can see.
It's going to be Hail Mary. It's going to be an ultimate Hail Mary for this.
But not
game.
to actually throw the Hail Mary. Because
Exactly.
again, slow it down.
Exactly. Please don't throw Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Warriors, Team Sexy. Team Sexy is a team that I've gone acclimatized from week 1 to where we are today. They come a long way from the lack of maturity that they had with yours truly.
And they played last week where Warriors won 35-11 in the Lachine Dome.
I'm going to go ahead and say, if you followed our show last week where we talked about the infamous fight that, of course, threw a wrench in our playoff plans, we had a segment called Don't Be Dicks. Team Sexy, you know what? I can feel the immaturity. You be immature. It's all good. Still be dicks, which you haven't been. So great. Do that thing. Be on that edge. That's okay. Just don't cross the line. You kind of like a team that's fiercely competitive the way they are.
They play a lot of confidence and arrogance in their game.
Yeah, but like
that's okay though. I don't mind.
But it matches the way they play, right? Like they play like they're the best athletes all the time.
Well, the flamboyance of the uniforms of pink, but you know, from where they were week 1 against Save Horse and Brossard to where they are today, I think they've improved from a competitive standpoint. That games now, like the game they had against Save Horse was completely done and dusted after one half.
Yeah.
But now they're starting to figure out a little bit here. They do take bad penalties at times, and that's going to be a key. Can they maintain their mental discipline in this football game where they don't take an OC because their quarterback's off of 10 plays?
But yeah, I get it. And that's the whole thing where play close to the edge, just don't cross it, right? Like it's like the Draymond Green thing. Like Draymond Green's great,
and put
except
middle fingers.
when he gets kicked out of the game, he's not great anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I just think that in the rematch we'll have this week, do I think it's a 21-point gap? Probably not.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be 21-point gap.
Warriors are a tough team to play, and they
on the flip side,
they're great in the playoffs. We saw that in the Fall Cup. I have such a long history of playing against them, Mean Machine, like that whole family tree of teams. Benji Ziegler is a glitch. That kid can run. He's probably my age or maybe a little bit younger. He can move. The Adam Rabinovich too. You play with Adam, right?
Yep.
He's a good player. Like I like him a lot. Like he just does everything well.
right?
They have championship pedigree. They have experience. We talked about Matthew Lutner in the Division 6 part of the show. He's on this team as well. That's a nice two-way addition to have. They're good. They're good across the board. Adam Liebling also on this team too. Like
But this is a feast or famine team as well, because against the better teams, they've had difficulty.
But again, come playoff time, I don't even believe that's a thing, and they've shown me it's a thing. They get so much better come playoff time.
But if the Warriors put 30 plus on Team Sexy, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
I don't think Sexy
And
has the.
They've
allure.
scored 30 plus in the last 4 games.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think Sexy has the cutting edge to get to 30 plus. They got to keep a low score. I think they got to keep it in the 20s for sure, but they cannot go throw for throw with these guys. What could have been against 2 Pfizer, Fulton, and Half Johnson. I am intrigued by this game. Are you, Peas?
Yes.
I'm just trying to buy time to open up
No,
this
just-
page.
They played previously in week 4. What could have been won 39-34.
Yeah, I can see that kind of game happening where it goes either way. They're both really good. Danny McPhee runs the Joey Taylor offense, but with more speed than Joey Taylor.
Yeah.
Highly, highly, highly effective. The ball comes out of his hand. And we see Joey Taylor feasting as a receiver on this team, right? Because he knows the system so well. He knows how to position himself, how to sit in the zone. I've played with Joey Taylor as a receiver, underrated receiver in FPF.
Yeah.
It's just the leggings under the shorts don't sell it, but he's a really good athlete.
He doesn't. But here's the thing. On the flip side, though, and part of my pronunciation of the last name, and I ask for forgiveness, but Randolph Regis Kadua, I hope I said that properly, and Keelan Ferdinand, right? They've combined. Caleb, beg your pardon.
You got so
Caleb.
messed up by Randolph
Yeah.
Kadua that it threw you off for Caleb.
They've combined for 31 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's a lot of production. That
Yeah.
is a lot of production. That is blistering ferocity at its finest with those 3 guys. Does 2 Pfizers have the antidote to contain this?
They don't. But that's the thing is they're not looking to contain. They're looking to go score for score and be more. Their key to success for 2 Fotes and a Half Johnson is they play such an efficient game that they're confident winning games on extra points. It didn't work last time. It's not going to work all the time. It's what's kept Joey Taylor from winning an FPF championship, right? As a quarterback, anyway.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is they rely on efficiency, and I don't know if what could have been can prevent that level of chemistry and timing and efficiency. Adam Leroy has been a good defender, as has Kadua and Daniel Williams, Kalen Ferdinand. A lot of the same pieces 2 ways, basically. They're good athletes, but it's just the organization. Like the thing is with that offense, Mo, is if you can't play man and if you can't be physical, if it's just not your makeup, you're going to struggle because
Right.
They create 2-on-1 opportunities. The reason Joey Taylor's in the Hall of Fame, by the way, is not just his accolades and his stats. It's the teaching that he's done and the influence he's had on FPF, and that he's created, not necessarily because not everyone runs that playbook, but he's created a concept that a lot of lower division quarterbacks have implemented.
The East-West system.
Yeah. It's use all of the field, not just downfield. Use all of the field, and that also means going horizontally and not just vertically, right? And it's such an intelligent design, and Danny McPhee is he's probably better suited to run it because of his ridiculous speed.
On to 5A we go. And just before we dive into it, Eags, I know Vultures 2.0 is listed in green as a 6 seed, but it is Streets Ahead that's in the playoffs.
That is correct.
Vultures 2.0, welcome to the road show, which means you're not playing. It means you're
No.
working. That's what we say to each other when we lose.
I can go find the exact breakdown of what happened there.
Yeah.
Let me go see if I can.
Anyway,
check that
you do that while we dive into it here. Okay, so Balls Deep, Peas were in complete control of the narrative of being a 1 seed. They had the ghosts glitched up. Now here they are as a 3 seed. Now they play Streets Ahead this weekend here, and obviously Streets Ahead are the 6 seed here.
I have it, by the way.
Yes,
so
go for it.
what ended up happening was there was a 3-way tie between Mighty Six, Vultures 2.0, and Streets Ahead. When we break down the actual divisional records, because they're a little bit messed up, the Mighty Six finished at 3-1, Streets Ahead finished at 3-1, and Vultures 2.0 finished at 2-2. So for the highest seed, it was a tie break between Mighty Six and Streets Ahead. Mighty Six got the 5th seed off of that. And then there was a 2-way tie between Streets Ahead and Vultures, and Streets Ahead take it, essentially.
Yeah.
And yet they are in red.
Vultures are out.
Carlo is online.
Vultures are out. It's because the divisional record's broken. I told you.
But from a graphic standpoint here, it shows
You
it.
said it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
The
Vultures.
graphic means nothing.
I know. Okay, so Balls Deep gets Streets Ahead here. Is it me or is it Balls Deep maybe kind of fluttering a little bit here and coming to the playoffs with where they are?
Sorry, I still had the yes.
Because
but
they
you
struggled.
They played week 6, by the way. Balls Deep won 34-21.
Right, but you lose to Ghosts. You had a close one against Mighty Six. You lose to Kings of the North. They're not playing as well as they did prior to that win against Streets Ahead.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not been the same team. It's been a little bit of an unbalanced season, given how strong they started. It's kind of like they maybe were feeling themselves a little bit. I thought, them versus Ghost was a good game, and it's what they gave us.
Right.
I thought that was a game Balls Deep could have won. But yeah, it's Justin Weir has looked better than I thought he would.
Yeah.
And he's improving, which is really good. I like the team. Malik James is a really good player too. So he's young. He adds a dimension to this team. It's not just all Matthew Peacock. Ryan Dobbs Garnett has also had a really good season. He's been solid. He's been solid start to finish. It just, like you said, it comes down to how can they be successful despite not coming to the playoffs as hard as they wanted.
Yeah, they've been a slow burn now, where they were raging fire in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and we talk about the two Pfizer's tree of success, right? The branches. Alex Joltopol, he's a key branch off of that. And he is a playoff performer. And when you look at that, and C.W. Tremblay, former football player, tackle guy that is, playing quarterback, he had a pretty strong season for his opening act as the QB for Streets Ahead here with 39 touchdowns and almost 1,600 yards passing. They can put up the points, but I feel like Weir is due to have a couple of turnovers.
So the biggest issue for me is when I see Streets Ahead is that you kind of know what every player's role is on that defense, on that offense.
Right.
And I think that Balls Deep have an experienced and physical defense. I think that can disrupt that. So for Streets Ahead to be successful, they need to just target wherever they feel they have the best matchup.
Right.
And continuously go at it. I know they want to spread the ball, but just continuously go at where they have the matchup. For Matthew Weir, Justin Weir, sorry, and Matthew Peacock in mind. For Justin Weir, I get what you're saying that he's kind of due a bad game, but I think this might actually be he's got enough experience that this might be his level of play at the moment. Like he might actually be one of the better quarterbacks in Division 5B just because he's been learning, he's gotten better, he's improved. If you look, like, completion percentage is one of those things that indicate sort of a projection for whether or not it's sustainable, right? Because if you're completing a lot of passes and you're keeping the ball away from the other team, that gives you the greatest opportunity for continued success because, it's a 4-down game. Most teams will convert 10 yards in 4 plays. I think that this just might be who he is at the moment. I don't know if Streets Ahead can give him anything defensively to give him pause.
With Backwoods Football Club against the Mighty Six, The next playoff game that we're going to preview now. I like BFC's chances because they have some athletes. Hennessy Ore, who we've seen playing higher divisions, Div
Really
2, Div
good.
3.
No previous matchup.
None whatsoever. Quentin Rice, another good ball catcher as well. It's more top heavy of talent that they have piece for the roster, but in this case for where they are overall, it's going to be one of those things where I think the pass rush is going to be key for them. Meet Patel had 10 sacks this year,
Yeah.
and I think that's going to be the big difference maker in why they could win this game on the weekend.
Back in the day, you would see Division 5 being a division that gave up a lot of sacks, but the quarterback play in Division 5 has increased dramatically.
Right.
Right, like the jump from 6 to 5 is now one of the greater jumps in FPF. And the fact that he can pressure the quarterback that much is notable.
And who's the quarterback for Mighty Six? Olivier Claveau, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be required because he took 13 sacks this year.
Yeah, which is not, again, it's a lot for Div 5 at this moment based on how the game is being played in Division 5.
He's also a running quarterback too, right? So that's going to be
So again, it's are they sacks while he's trying to run and he's losing 1 or 2 yards?
Yeah.
Those sacks tend to worry me less. So what do you think, Mo? Like, who wins that matchup between the running quarterback and the rusher in this game?
I think when you look at Claveau, if he can, I think it's a tone setter. I think if he can set the tone early on a run, like, in that one-on-one, 1v1 battle, that, hey, I'm going to blow right by you, and I will get minimum 5 to 10 yards per carry. Then you kind of put a little seed down in Patel's head that, okay, you know what, I think I have to change my style of play, how I break down. And that takes away from probably his strengths as a rusher, that my strength right now cannot contain your strength. And I have to now not go to plan B and try to get that through. So I just think that first encounter that they'll have in that running scenario, who can win that? Can Patel be more of a run stopper and force Claveau to be a passer? That's going to be the key and why Backwoods can win this game.
Even if it's not like sack, it's Mighty Six.
Yeah. It's Mighty Six.
Yeah, noise. Even if he's not getting the sacks, it's just creating pressure and forcing him to throw off platform, which I don't know how well he'll be able to do that. Because again, there's another guy completing a ton of passes, right? And like, and we see we're going to talk to Alex Fafard later in this show, but Alex Fafard's a really good athlete.
Are we?
Yeah, Div 4.
Oh yes. Sorry. I'm saying for
it's a lot of the guys from Beer Belly Brigade. That's
who
just ran through 4B this year.
Oh no, I'm saying from an interview. I think meant to talk.
No.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say. I was like,
touch
really
on him as a quarterback, but as a receiver, just because he's a really, really good athlete, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to make plays. I think that if the runs are used so that he plans them out so he can roll and then hit a receiver rather than scrambling and just throwing off platform, I think that would be the key to success. So if he knows he's facing a good rusher, plan around that,
On to the next game that we have lined up here. It is Goofy Goobers, Longhorns. We're really high on the Goobers and how they've been going so far with Kim Smuda. Longhorns had a up and down season.
They actually played week 2.
Right.
Goobers won 24-0.
But that was Dave.
That was pre. What do we call this?
Pre
got better at the game.
Pre Demalo season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Nick Demalo's changed the team. Is Dave Allen hurt, by the way? Does anybody know? Because I noticed he's not been playing either.
Not too sure what the reasoning is, unless we can find out from our correspondent, GM Clethris, who that would do it. But yes, so they got in better quarterback play, Longhorns, but is it enough to beat Goobers?
So Goobers have my favorite defender in all of FPF, Max Bira. That dude can just take an entire player away. He can just take a player away. He can decide you're not throwing to this player. You know what I mean? So if he wants to take away, for example, Adam Rosen, that'll help them a lot. Goofy Goobers have been a little inconsistent. They've been good, but they when they faced the Reed, they didn't compete. Right? They were out of it early.
That game was a wrap.
Cellos.
Yeah.
They they need to get more consistent. And this is the season to do it.
Well, I think playing the Kings of the North helps remedy some of the ills.
Yeah.
That they can be a little bit more a bit of momentum, a bit of hey, we feel good about ourselves going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this might be a situation where they kind of lucked out on getting the horns now than a tougher matchup, which, if it was anyone else in that division, we might be saying otherwise that Goobers might be wounded, that they could be vulnerable to the loss.
So, but if you're the Goobers and you have Kevin Smoot and Max Bura, which two guys are you taking away from Nick DeMalo? And how are you forcing him to beat you? Like who are you taking away?
So if I'm the Longhorns and I have to beat
if you're Goofy Goobers, who are you taking away from Longhorns from the receiving core?
Man, it's something that when you look at the roster now, and as I pull it up here with the roster and try to get it open, here we go. We know that Kareem Yasmin could be the guy that they have to take him out. Adam Rosen, unfortunately, doesn't have enough games to play in the playoffs, so he's not going to be involved.
Adam Rosen's not playing. Okay.
Well, he only has 4 games played, right?
I thought I didn't realize
Yeah,
that. That's huge.
And for whatever reason, Chris Rosen has 12 games played. So,
couple of Rosens.
Yeah. So I don't know if maybe Eagle. We'll have to look into that to make sure that the Roses are eligible to play. Perhaps.
Yes.
So there's no way for you to accurately answer the question.
I can because it feels like.
So let's assume Adam Rosen is not playing.
So Chris Rosen would be the next guy.
Chris Rosen, and I actually think GM Kalethris he's become a really good receiver, like a good possession receiver.
He's become a good playoff performer.
Yeah.
It may not be a quantity of catches, but it's the quality of the.
But even
the
quantity,
catch.
so
Does Rosen by any chance have camp? Because he missed the last 2 games, which is why I'm thinking maybe he had a camp that he because a few other players have had that situation too that I've noticed.
I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
So I remember when I first met Jim Kalethris, he couldn't catch COVID even if he's licking faces, right? Like he was just not a really good receiver, and he turned himself into a high caliber receiver.
Yeah.
In FPF. And he's someone now that you need to pay attention to. And again, he's been targeted 24 times. It's not a ton, but he's a good possession guy. He's a big body in the red zone. If Adam Rosen's not there and it's just Chris Rosen, he might be that next guy.
Right.
But yeah, Kareem Yasmin, of course, is the easy answer there too, right?
Yeah.
So you might say go beat us with GM. Conversely, yeah, but that might be flawed as well.
As Marco Masiocha, a higher end quarterback, once said about GM when he played each other in the playoffs, we let bleeping GM score a 40-yard touchdown up our defense's bleep. You never know. Never know. Next game on tap, Wubba Lubba Dubs Dub against Los Banditos. Did it play each other during the regular season here?
They played in the very first week. Wubba Lubba Dub W's won 32-0.
I think I might have.
That was
scored
that game that Los Banditos just sort of fell apart.
Was
Like
that different
inexplicably fell
No.
apart.
No, yes, but no.
Oh, no,
That's
that
a
was the one.
game-
Sorry, that's another one.
That
That's another
was
one.
actually a forfeit game because
Yeah,
Banditos
yeah,
was
yeah.
way over the cap. Banditos actually
I
won
was thinking
that
about their game against Ravens. My mistake.
Banditos actually won that game 41-26. But they went over the cap.
So
The size and speed of Vincent Benjamin, Loic Savoie-Seguin is massive on both sides of the ball. Julian Wilson, underrated
Yeah.
player. And Carl Janelle, too. Like, we often talk about how Julian Wilson's, like, not highly touted, but neither's Carl Janelle, and he's really good.
yeah, I want to discount Wubba Dubba Lubs over here because I've score kept a couple of the games, and look. When you look at them, you're like, these dudes are going to get steamrolled by us for like 45 points, and they are the ones that do it. And the reason why is a guy like Justice Santillo, he's a stretcher of the field, which opens up the underneath stuff for
He's tall, too.
Yeah, for Kevin St. Pierre and Chad Buck. and Benjamin Bork. These guys all benefit from that.
And Kevin St. Pierre is a gamer.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy, bright lights.
Like he's a,
He'll turn it on.
he is the hardcore wrestler in FPF equivalent.
Yeah.
Like he will put his head through a wall for you to get that touchdown. But Jared Buck, he's really impressed me as a quarterback. From where he started to where he is now. And
but he's good. Like, he's had really good seasons before.
yeah, he has, but we don't talk about him though, right? We don't talk about him ad
he
nauseum.
He had taken some time away from FPF. But
Yeah, but
I'm looking up some, like, he's got a 241 to 79 touchdown interception ratio. He's never, like, I mean, he had one season where it was 40 and 8, but he's very rarely in the consideration for quarterback of the year. But he's always like that next tier down, like the fourth, fifth, sixth best guy.
yeah, he's not getting the luxury suites, but he's getting the tickets below
Box
that.
tickets,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. He's just right there, but not there. You know.
But yeah, it's a good team. You kind of wish a guy like Danny Demore played more games, right? Like, in that chance, mind you, I don't even know if they fit the cap if he's
Yeah, I
playing
think
every
I
game.
think they might have busted the cap with.
But yeah, it's they're good. They had a rough end of the season, losing to both Metaverse and a 1-point loss, and Dilfson another close game. But like they lost the last 2 games by a combined 3 points.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be one of those blowout games, I don't think. So
I don't know if they match up particularly well against Los Banditos, right? Like,
yeah, that's gonna be one of those.
I know that Los Banditos were over the cap, and that's why they lost that first game. But you know, even without Gabriel Molo Paquette, who's obviously very, very, very good.
Right.
We've known him from Jagerbaum and all that. You know, Vincent Benjamin still had 6 catches for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game.
Right.
You know, and Loic Savoie had an interception, and Vincent Benjamin didn't have an interception, which just means that just Jared Buck didn't throw towards him, because if you throw towards him, it's an interception.
Right.
The guy's a walking interception.
Right. On to Division 4B. And
Do we have to do 4B?
Yes, we do.
All right, fine.
We're almost there, Peace.
No, it's not for that. I'm just sad about 4B.
Well, I mean, like
I was sure we were going to make the playoffs, and we didn't make the playoffs.
Alas, old.
Yeah.
Okay, on to 4B. Team Ethnic against Mofos.
That's an interesting game.
I am not
don't know if it's a
buying-
good game. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's a clash of differing styles of play. Team Ethnic,
Mofos are infuriating, man.
they are. No, they are.
The
but
way they play is infuriating.
no, it is. But the thing is about
They played week 2, by the way. Mofos won 32-25.
yeah, and
Yeah, that's about right.
and what's more upsetting is that Team Ethnic, the amount of games that they have caused heart attacks for themselves, where they hold a 2-score, 3-score lead, and all of a sudden they either lose or have brain farts.
But
where
what part of that is surprising?
But example I'll give you is that I forget it was at Hebert. They got the first down. We're still playing the game. You guys won the game. No, we're gonna play the game. They throw an INT, and with 1 play left, they almost lost.
Mhm.
Another game after Martin, off his chest, drop ball, could have been the game-ending INT. Next play, the opposing team scores and wins. Then they had a similar situation in Loyola where they were up by 3 scores, and next thing you know, and I think it was Eastside Boys they had played. Next thing you know, Eastside Boys are about to pull off a Hail Mary and a great escape to win that matchup. So I think for Team Ethnic, it's a question of them.
Again, Eastside Boys, they gave up 30 points. 31 points. They gave up 39 points to Los Locos, 39 points to Hot Sauce Sports. They gave 24 points to Les Verts Fall. Like, they're not an elite defensive unit.
No, they're not. But the thing is with Mofos is that they have athletes. But would you take the young and green athletes in this case over a grizzled veteran roster like Team Ethnic?
It's interesting because Ben Lawler can score 5 touchdowns against anybody. He might not, but he can. He has that ability. That's the offense. It's highly vertical. The only criticism I have of Ben Lawler is sometimes he doesn't take the easy passes there. He always wants to be on attack.
Let's hero ball for him.
A little bit. But you know what? If I could throw the way he did, maybe I would feel that way too, right?
Right.
But Mofos, are different. They have Timoko Sanogo, who scrambles around forever, and he can't. Like, you can have the best rusher. It's hard to keep up with him. And then he can throw 40 yards on a line because your coverage is blown because you can't keep up. And so here's the thing: is like, Mofos are a little disorganized on defense, but
they can snatch footballs out of nowhere.
Fair, but Ben Lawler doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? So he can score. And then on the other side of it, you have a quarterback who can buy time and throw balls against a defense we expect to have breakdowns. So it's one of the more compelling matchups. Not a pretty game, but one of the more compelling matchups, I think.
Yeah, it's like the Wisconsin half-court offense against the full-court press.
It's the opposite. It's just if two teams just really can't play defense.
No, that's a bit. But from an offensive standpoint, though, that Lawler can keep it at a straight pace. Yeah. Whereas for Mofos, they need to go to a high octane pace to get. But
even Lawler, again, he's always looking to go deep. So he's happy if every throw he makes is a 41. That's what he wants. It's how he wants to play the game. His first pass of the game will be a 40-yard attempt.
So LVF plays Los Locos.
They previously played in Week 5. Versfall won 13-12.
So my question for LVF...
They got better, though. The Versfall got a lot better throughout the season.
Yes, they have. So my question for LVF, as they prepare for this football game, and I did scorekeep that game, by the way. I remember scorekeeping that matchup. Who was the best option at quarterback for them? Is in Nassim Ouahadi, who was gone pretty much the rest of the way, and he too is something of a high risk, high reward quarterback. And
so he's not a natural quarterback, right?
No, he's not.
He turns the ball over too much, and he takes too many sacks. But the team's just like, if they can have, Bella Morissette playing receiver.
Yeah.
They don't want them playing quarterback, right? Like,
of course.
Because having those two to throw to is awesome. They're two incredible players. Guillaume Bellin, when I played against him, I came back in the studio to the show and I was like,
yeah, former McGill player.
That's a Div 1 player. That's not like the amount of ground that dude was covering. It was nonsense.
He was a really good DB at the university level.
Oh, and it showed, like, just the way he moves his hips. He would drop into coverage, and I thought, oh, this is an easy completion of my snapper. And it was complete, but what I thought would be, 7-8 yards after the catch was 4 yards and deflagged immediately.
Right.
A 4-yard catch, and he's deflagged where he caught the ball. His ability to cover ground is out of this world. Good ball skills, so he's really good as a receiver too. Kyle Branola, he's just a consistent receiver. What Nassim
Ouahadi.
I'm sorry. I really pride myself in pronouncing names well, and I got that one wrong. Nassim Ouahadi does well is buy time, and he's difficult to deflag, and it works particularly well in the red zone. The one thing he doesn't do well, Mo, is when he looks to, let's say, his left side, he'll never look to his backside reads.
Right.
So there's some things the defense can do to mitigate that.
The thing is with the guy that they might have problems with Brandon St. Jacques Turpin.
Yeah,
he might give them problems, and on both sides of the football, because when I score kept the Los Locos game, that was the game that they beat in Team Ethnic where they were down, they won on the last play when Martin had the drop ball. I look at this team, they're not sexy of like appeal of like who is like the player. They just play. And what they do is they weather the storm of punches, and they come up with a knockout blow at the key moment of a football game. And I think that's what's going to be key for them in trying to beat LVF, is that they're going to have to weather the punches that's going to be thrown at them by LVF. But if the opportunity presents itself, they have to come up with that knockout shot that's going to give them that momentum or that big play to win that matchup.
They're a really adaptive defense. I saw that when I played against Los Locos. They made halftime adjustments in a way that a lot of teams don't. They're drastic adjustments. And I'll give you an example from our game. We were leading 20-6 with the ball to start the half, and they won the game 27-26.
Yeah.
Right, so like that's the kind of game that's the kind of game planning they do with halftime. It's the kind of adjustments they make. They kind of understand your patterns on offense. So you can't be intellectually lazy when you play against them for les Versfall. So like Awadi needs to hold something back.
Yeah.
He needs to have like, this is how I'm starting the game, this is the middle of the game, and then when the game's on the line, these are the plays I trust most, right? And that middle segment, he needs to hide that so that if they get off to a lead, they can take advantage in the second half.
Honey Martin takes on Arush, and of course
they played week 8. Arush won 21-13.
That was in Lachine, I believe.
That
right?
was in Lachine.
Yeah, I think Rafael Dagenet was the quarterback that day when he ran the 40. And I told Honey Martin before the enter the field, you guys, without I seeing you play, you guys look so much more athletically gifted without Iggy being there, because it was Iggy who was on protocol at the time. So with Iggy back, it might slow them down just by virtue of him being on the sidelines.
Iggy's a good receiver, though.
Well, he was 6'13" in the
that was a rough day.
That was a rough day.
Maybe he had pre-COVID.
This was last spring, I believe, in Brossard.
Yeah,
pre-COVID.
I don't understand how Honey Martin ever lost any games.
You know what? they when I again I always kept one of the games, but when Dagenet on the first play of the second half ran for a 40-yard touchdown, it broke their backs. And I just think that they're just prone maybe to giving up the big play, and that kind of changes the whole outlook for them.
James Langshaw is such a ridiculous weapon. Kareem Anthony Chilcott coming alive as a rusher, getting double-digit sacks. His first time ever playing the position. Jason Halvieux is really good. Damien Jean-Jacques really good. Enzo Bellinelli, Mark Bellinelli, Bellini, sorry. Put the wrong L's in the wrong I's.
Or are you thinking about the basketball player?
Ends. Yeah, I am actually Italian. I know one Italian basketball player.
There's a few Gallinari.
So yeah, Mark Bargnani and Enzo Bargnani.
I remember that Andrea Bargnani Primo commercial.
Yes,
that was such a terrible,
it was so
such
bad.
a bad commercial. Like, what would he eat Primo for?
Yeah. Also,
oh my God.
Why would he try acting for?
Do you think these boys, Bellini, these guys eat Primo pasta?
No. Also, if you don't eat pasta in a box ever, it's gross. Eat fresh pasta. Don't be gross. DBG, don't be gross. Eagle, box pasta.
No.
Yeah, see, don't do it. It's nonsense. Also, get the. I have the Phillips machine. You can make a kilo of pasta in 6 minutes. It's fresh pasta. It's delicious. Never go back. I can't go back to the me I was before I had that machine, Mokan. It's impossible. It's like finding the almanac in Back to the Future. And that concludes our coverage of Honey Martin.
There you go. That concludes Honey Martin's coverage that they're a bunch of spaghetti-looking type of athletes.
But also, like, so isn't Arush the same thing as Honey Martin? Why did they lose?
But see, so like I score cap a bunch of their games, Arush, and to not have
the roster consistency is an issue.
It's been an issue for them, and no Simon Loisier, who wasn't on the roster this year, hurt because the production value dipped on who the next guy would be to be the guy for them, and they got they got guys that can make plays like Bastien Finef-Thibault, who I saw play tackle football at the highest level.
He's good.
He's good. He's a matchup problem, and I think that's the guy that you have to circle when watching this game here. Could Honey Martin find
James Langshaw, man to man, Bastien Finef-Thibault?
Yeah, and
that's what you do.
Langshaw's going to have to really have the vertical, the hops, the pogo stick, because
that's what I'm saying.
Can definitely
that's
do
his game. He's got speed. He's got a ridiculous wingspan, and he can go get the ball in the air.
My only concern is Eric Lalonde, and I've been disappointed in him. You know, they played Golden Eagles in Hebert, which was I think the last Hebert Dome game that we had before we went outdoors, and he had first two drives. He went inside 5, 0 points. And you can't do that now at this point in the playoffs.
But so why? Why does that ever happen to him with his skill set? Why does that ever happen?
I don't know. It's maybe Loisier. That's the guy that he misses, right, as a red zone target. And
It's really strange. I had high hopes. I thought they were gonna
yeah,
be I had high hopes for both of these teams. I never would have expected they finished where they finished the season, and Honey Martin finished strong to their defense.
yes,
You know what I mean? So
yes.
like, to me, I was like, oh, these are the two best teams in the division, and here they are facing off in the first round.
And someone has to wear pennies, and I think it's gonna be a Roosh.
It is a Rouge because they're the away team.
Okay, so we got Golden Eagles Voodoo.
They technically played this past week. Voodoo won 36-12 after the rescheduling disaster.
Who's the quarterback for that game?
That's the thing. Golden Eagles had 3 different quarterbacks in this particular
And what about
game.
for
Who
Voodoo?
is the quarterback in the playoffs for Golden
That's a
Eagles?
good question. So to answer most first question, it was Diego Mohamed Escobar, Kevin Lubin, and Felix Goulet all split reps. Here's the understanding that I
For
have.
Voodoo it was our boy.
It was Frank K.
Yeah, because Frank K missed some time. That's why I want to make sure.
Pretty sure. I mean, who else would it have been?
They had a terrible quarterback when they played Mo.
No, it's Frank K. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Here's the story of the Golden Eagles quarterback situation. Kevin Lubin was originally going to be quarterback. Vincent Hamel got hurt after their 3rd game and couldn't come back, and effectively he's missing his number 1 receiver. So his plan was, I'm going to bring in quarterbacks, and I'm going to go receiver instead. That way we can kind of strengthen our receiving core and also bring in someone who knows the system, etc. They brought in Sarah Parker for a few games. We thought that was going to be a permanent thing. That didn't end up working out. They brought in...
She was also on the roster just like before the season.
Yeah.
I thought she was heading into the season.
And then they also have Felix Goulet on the roster as well. Now, neither Sarah nor Felix have enough games played. Sarah has 3 and Felix has 4. And they were under the impression that the old IR rule was going to be in place where they would be able to transfer Vincent Hamel's games played to either of those 2 depending on what happened, essentially. Again, I don't know the specifics. Maybe there was a scheduling issue why neither of them could actually get to the 5 GPs necessary.
Sarah
but
Parker had a lot on her plate with playing women's and also
Co-ed.
Yeah.
co-ed. No, well, yeah. Well, she also started something co-ed, but also she's involved with Concordia flag as well. So it was just a lot on her plate.
And there was an expectation that Vincent Hamel was going to be back later on in the season, so he was going to become eligible, and then Kevin was going to go back to QB at that point in time, or however they figured it out, but his rehabilitation didn't work out the way they wanted it to. So they were working under the old IR rules where, like, okay, we'll transfer games, we'll make a decision at that point in time, and then we changed it sometime in like week 7 or 8 or whatever it was for the IR
we also
stipulation.
emailed Capsons about the change.
Yes, but by week 7 or 8, it's too late to be like, oh shit, we have to fix our roster problems here, right, and get people to show up. So we're trying to figure out what we're doing on the administrative side. This is the first time we changed the IR rule in forever. So I can understand why people went with the assumption of it was going to be the same. And we changed it at a point where it is kind of sucky, where in this situation, they made a decision, albeit maybe not the best one, but fine. They made a decision assuming the rule was going to be the same, and then that changed halfway through the season where it was too late to undo their mistake. So we're trying to figure out what's going to happen here. But all that to say, Kevin Lubin is probably going to end up being quarterback in this game.
Which, by the way, is not a bad thing.
No.
It's really good. So
No. I think Golden Eagles have...
was anyone there for that game? Were you there for that game, Mo? Against Voodoo?
No, it was not.
I wish I'm surprised by the score in that game.
Unfortunately, I was not there, so I can't tell you how that game played out.
Yeah. Strange. On paper, Voodoo's roster is just more complete, I think. But the top end talent
They have more chemistry.
than Golden Eagles, than Kevin Lubin thrown to Alex David.
Well, no, that too. But I'm saying from a
I mean, Frank K to Pat Saint Ama equals Kevin Lubin throwing Alex David. Like
but
the
from
two
a
are synonymous.
But from a quantitative level, though, right?
Sure. Well, how is it differently? I'm literally talking about the quantitative level that both of them have played a lot together.
So who gives Golden Eagles the best chance to win? Lubin?
Probably Felix Goulet, but I don't think he'll be eligible. So Kevin Lubin, yes. Yeah. It's interesting. It's look, Donald Jacques has been around FPF for a while. Alex David, Kevin Lubin, these are names we recognize, right? But
Yes.
the same is true of Voodoo. Like whether it's The-
Frank K, Patrick Tama, Mathieu
Yeah.
Bergeron, Kevin Marshall. That's been like the team
And-
forever. you know?
And Angelo Groffel's been there for a few years. They do this thing where they pick up a guy like halfway through a season, and that he becomes a permanent member for the rest of the time. And I think the next
I mean,
one
it's
of
a
that,
great way to build a team.
absolutely. And I think JF Delos is the next piece. And by the way, picking up JF Delos like 2-3 weeks into the season, that's a nice piece to add. Nice to have that type of cap space, right? So, I think JF Delos presents some difficulty for the older Golden Eagles. They also didn't. So Golden Eagles were missing a lot of their normal players. So now looking at the roster in that game,
Yeah.
they also played a game where they just shut down Honey Martin, for example, who we talked about as being one of the best rosters in FPF. In Division 4.
Right.
They beat up on East Side boys. So, and in those games, it's not just the offense. It's not just whoever's playing quarterback. It's the fact that they allowed 14 points in those 2 games combined. So I think if Steven St. Fleur is there, if Donald Jacques, Donald Jacques was there. Unfortunately, Dustin Pierre didn't play enough games to qualify.
No. That's a big loss not to have Dawson Pierre on the Golden Eagles roster.
But it's been an up and down season, but guys have missed games. Alex David only having played 6. I think if
Dawson Pierre is a camp reason he wasn't there for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know that because we have a same request from the Apocalypse in Div 2. There is the same reason.
It sucks. Our season got delayed. It
Yeah.
wasn't our fault.
Yeah, no one's
But
fault. in
yeah, if the key pieces on defense, Steven St. Fleur and Donald Jacques, to me, that makes that defense go.
that. On to 4A as we move along here, as we are inching closer and closer towards our picks. 4 games. Blackouts, big fun. So let's dive into that. Blackouts, big fun. A team by Blackouts with our boy Adam Sinagra at quarterback.
I was gonna say there's not 2 more polarly opposite quarterbacks.
They
than
played
this
week
game,
1,
right?
by the way. Blackouts crushed Big Fun 41-8.
Yeah,
So are we seeing a mismatch here?
I think so. I've been on Blackout since before the season. I thought that even if Alex Delille or Julien Lachance threw, they were the best team in the division. So with Adam Sinagra throwing, still makes them one of the top teams, right? So I don't think this is a particularly good matchup for Big Fun. Evan Eli Nolet is a sort of a gut feel gunslinger kind of quarterback. He once told me he doesn't make reads; he just lets the magic happen. So that's Oathbreaker's own.
So he's
quote.
like, what's his face? Will Ferrell in the NASCAR movie.
Oh, Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights, yeah.
Shake and bake.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's that character. But, we look at the Blackouts in their offense. I mean, Ryan Vanzelen almost put up 800 yards and 20 touchdowns, over 20 TDs this year. Probably your receiver of the year, most likely not.
I don't know. There's a whole conversation about awards going on that I'm luckily
oh my God.
not a part of. I just see
But
it keep popping on my screen.
Yeah, it pops up on our thread, but the fact that it's like the most minuscule request. What do you think about this, though?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, but to be
dude.
fair, that's the whole thing. Is like
yeah.
this guy has 676 yards. This person has 640 yards, but the person with 640 yards has 1 more touchdown. But also they have 4 less catches. Like I don't care.
Like, dude,
Make a decision.
Dude, don't worry. They're not gonna kill you. It's not gonna be.
They might actually. People get so upset.
Like, dude, they're not gonna be having like a protest outside your house. Okay,
So
so
we should protest outside Iggy's house. Great idea.
6-hour protest.
FPF community. I'll post his address
NDG.
in the article.
He's not far from Honey Martin.
Yeah.
We can make it happen off of Sherbrooke Street.
We'll stop him from entering Honey Martin.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be heartbroken.
Exactly. All right, so Sinagra, I mean, we talk about gunslingers. Adam Sinagra is a legit slinger. He doesn't make passes, he makes throws. And that's where I think they have a decided
He doesn't
edge.
throw balls; he throws javelins.
Exactly. Maybe he'd be part of the track and field games. I don't.
He doesn't track; he just fields. Sorry, I'm done. I promise.
So Sinagra, I don't know if they have anyone that can neutralize him in this football game from the opposing team that they'll play.
The only thing with Sinagra is, like it's not for talent. He's just not a flag quarterback yet. So the concepts are not fully formed. The dimensions are, he's not entirely comfortable yet. It's getting there. Of course, playing two teams helps. Playing Division 2 at the same time helps.
Yeah.
And that's helped. I think if he just played this division, he'd be great, but not exactly this, because we've seen it before. We saw it with Sam Cannon when he started in his first games were in Div 4 and he was okay, right? Like it wasn't until his second full season at quarterback that we really saw him improve.
He thought we were haters of him.
It's not. It was not. It's just that there's certain instinctual things, like there's throws you make in FPF that you would never do in tackle, because you would murder your receiver, but you can do it and there are exploits in flag. And I think that it just takes a little bit to reprogram your brain. And again, I think Sinagra playing in Div 2, it helped him get some extra reps quickly, and that's why we saw him be so dominant out the gate. But yeah, so the key is to focus on that and try and create situations that are just uncomfortable for him. And I don't want to give out the book, so try and read between the lines of what I'm saying here.
On to Small Giants and Bruins. Giants won that game 31-19.
Hey, look at that.
And, we're on top of it here. But of course, for the Bruins, this probably is the most compelling matchup out of the ones that we have in this division here, Peas.
I like Arushani Martin.
Well, 4A I'm talking.
Oh, sorry, 4A. Sorry.
Yeah.
I had the wrong tab open on my screen.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Of course. Because I think the winner of this game could go 2 rounds deep in this playoffs.
Yeah. This is you're saying Bruins Small
Bruins
Giants,
Small
right? Yeah,
Giants,
that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. So they both are really good with some flaws, but so what it is the execution for Bruins offensively is ridiculous. You're not going to force a lot of turnovers. Rocco Cristiano is having a dumb season. 21 touchdowns is nonsense. Somebody just cover him, please.
Justin Lerner, hello.
Well, that's what it'll be, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
And Small Giants, they're good across the board as well. Like they're a talented team. Justin Lerner is just a ridiculous athlete and an incredible flag football player. Understands all the concepts. He's not the thrower of the football that Sinagra is, right?
Yeah.
But his knowledge of the game has allowed him to play pretty close to the season Sinagra had. 50-10 versus 45-14. It's not quarterback of the year caliber for Justin Lerner, but it's right there. Like it's the next level below. And of course he can take off when he needs to. He adds that dimension on defense. I think as good as their offense is, they just have a really, really, really solid defense. Darren McGazian, Theo Bekelis is a good two-way player as well.
I mean,
Marvin Steinberg only played a single game.
Yeah, the Matty Mouse brothers, they're pretty good, but they have a again. I agree with you on the balanced attack for the offense, because you think of the offense, you had 5 guys at 20+ catches.
Yeah.
All
but
with
it's just,
5+
just
touchdowns.
So there's things that Lerner can't do as a quarterback, because he's not a true quarterback, right? He's a guy who's developed his game in FPF. But defensively, there's not a weakness on their defense, right? Like, it's really good top to bottom.
I can't wait, because the Wrangler and Johnny Matty Meadows, we have a thread.
Okay.
And I can't wait for that barbecue.
What's it called?
The Lads.
Nice. I like it. I always want to know what other people's group chats are called.
The Lads. And you guys are all invited to the barbecue that we're going to have this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I've spent so much of the last 2 years not hanging out with people. Send me an invite. There's like a 60% chance I'll come.
I've invited you.
We missed the annual Mike Roy party.
Yeah, that's coming.
Are we bringing that back?
Oh yeah.
When? Before the wedding or after the wedding?
It'll be. I don't know. Let me check my schedule right now. It's psychotic. Talk to me 2 weeks.
Yeah, I got like a window with.
I have a million deadlines to meet at work, and once that's done,
I have a window of 3 weddings in 4 weeks, including our very own Simon Dashnays.
I have a wedding in Serbia.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna already be in Europe. Should I go?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. When else am I gonna go to Serbia?
Yeah.
right?
Sort of a war.
Well, I mean, I would be going in the middle of war technically.
Well, you wouldn't be far. I mean, Serbia's not too far from Russia, is it not? Like geography-wise.
It's significantly far from Russia. It's closer
The
to
Ukraine.
Croatia than.
Yes, of course.
It's on that side.
Yeah, it's in that area, that
Yeah.
geography.
The
area.
Balkans.
The Balkans.
Not
that's
to be
right.
confused with Baltic Avenue.
Exactly.
I don't suggest buying it. It's wasted.
So
Or
barbecue.
baseball bulking.
Mm. Or Balky from Perfect Strangers, a
That's a
reference
very
nobody
good.
remembers except for me and Mo.
Of course, Chicago Cubs fan,
Yeah.
and it goes
Yeah.
off of the Eagles up.
So in order for Mo to get a pop culture reference, it has to be a sitcom from the 90s. We now know. We now know.
So anyway, Johnny Manny Meadows is gonna have a barbecue. We're all invited. Everyone wants to come.
I'm down.
Everyone come out.
Thanks
We're
for the
gonna
invite,
make a big
Johnny.
bash. Johnny Ladd.
Love you, bro.
We've invited everybody. I think this game is gonna be a one-score game. That's what I think it
Yeah.
comes down to. It's not gonna be a blowout or a two-score win.
Look, I feel bad for what I did with Bruins because I gave the book on Bruins, but they're still winning games. Like,
You know.
like what they do on defense to me is unforgivable. Except that their offensive execution is so good they don't even care.
Yeah.
It's a different version of Flagma Sack who legitimately doesn't care about defense.
Right.
Like they care about defense, but they just don't care to change it.
On to Stoics against Santar.
Speak of a 1-point game, this game finished 30-29 in Week 7 in the Stoics' favor.
So Stokes, like they've been peaking at the right time.
I have inside information about Stoics.
You ready? Star Wars back? Yes or no? Thank you.
That's not news. That's not news.
But
No, I have a player who's not going to be there.
oh, which player won't be there?
Seth Galina is going to be in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah,
doing
he's
work,
having some.
for Pro Football Focus. We talked to him this week on Hot Sauce Sports.
You've
so
got
listening
chili
to
right
Hot Sauce Sports. So if you want to get some additional coverage from some of your friendly meatheads, Hot Sauce Sports is your place to go.
Fun fact, our Spotify episode for Week 10 of FPF is the Hot Sauce Sports episode because I fucked up.
That's some
That's
genius
amazing,
marketing.
man.
Eagle.
That's like
Genius
a real
marketing.
180 there.
Way to get some subs. I
People
like
trying
it.
to figure out who the hell is this guy from? What division is this from? Okay, so the Stokes have improved game by game, and I think their confidence got boosted by them taking out Brotherhood. I know Eagle, you've made the Quasi Gordon Mall updates a tradition unlike any other here at FPF.
They
But
lost.
yes, they did.
I had to tag all the media members to be like, I'm dying on this hill and you're all coming with me.
No, he hasn't played well, but that's for next week when we talk about them. But Stoics, I think right now, I don't want to play them in the playoffs. And speaking to Chris Rive about it at the women's final, he sounds very confident that this team can go deep.
Look, he's coming off a championship in the spring season. He looked great in that game, by the way. He's one of these quarterbacks, so when he hits like the state of flow, there's no stopping him. He just when he's on, he's on. He does those 900 pump fakes, and it's awesome. The key for them is whether or not Denzel Eddie Lowe is there. That's a big
And
deal.
that's a big key.
It's a big piece, especially in this game, because if Jordan Rossi can run, can buy time, they're a different team. The other thing is there's giants on Centaur. So if they decide to rush Sean Submergent or Rory or Hugo Alemano, that's going to be tough for Chris, who's a more diminutive quarterback.
But he'll have to get the ball out of his hands a lot
Where
more
as
quickly.
skilled as Chris Brockwell is, I think that's the kind of rusher that Chris can manage better than a taller rusher. Although,
if Brockwell's healthy enough to play.
yeah, although I've spoken to Chris and I've sort of said like this is how, because I'm also a shorter guy, so this is how I think you can handle that. It's never easy to face a tall rusher, so these are some things to look at. Mike Collard, you said was doing some. Was it no? Mike Collard was snapping on another team. My mistake. But yeah, like you know that Royce Margin's gonna get targeted. You know he's gonna be targeted in the red zone. But stop it, man. Like the guy's good. He has such good ball skills in the air.
I think Stokes are going to be okay to conceding to Submergent, right? But can they stop everyone else?
So Riley Pincombe is a really quick receiver. He just really explodes out of his cuts. Hugo Alemano again presents that size issue. Sean Submergent only played 3 games.
Yeah.
That's my bad. I thought he was playoff eligible. So like that's the thing is,
And they kind of
I don't know about
backdoor their way into the playoffs too.
I don't know about cap eligibility, but if Sean Smergen and Ryan Shalal play the whole season, that's a ridiculous roster, right?
Yeah.
So,
but they backdoor the way, man. They stumble through.
Because again, they're missing, if not one of those two guys, if both of those two guys were on a team,
yeah,
like it's a different team than they expected to have, right? Stoics, I think, can handle Santar, but they have a very specific game script they need to execute.
Right.
Santar's defense has improved over seasons. They've had rough games recently, but, they lost to the Brubanar, but they didn't allow the sort of high watermark of 5 touchdowns.
No, but LBB had that comeback in the second half, and they were kind of shell-shocked, Santar, and losing that football game.
But they beat Takeover, who's a talented roster.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, again, Takeover is another team like Santar who didn't play up to their potential.
No. And speaking of that, LBB taking on Santar. Taking on Takeover.
No previous matchup in this one. Now, people might be saying, hey, Sparrows Cougars, they're actually the 5th seed. What the hell's going on? Same story here. Sparrows Cougars finished 0-3 in divisional record, and in the 3-way tie fell to the bottom, especially with the head-to-head loss against LBB. So, yeah, that's what happened and why LBB is in the playoffs.
So, LBB is on a house money type of philosophy. They were down by 3 scores against Santar in the second half, and they won on the last play, and they went on a run, and now here they are in the playoffs. Very hot team. Takeover, you're bang on. Dramatically underachieved this year, Peas. This is one of those games where it could be a trap game for Takeover if they don't get
absolutely.
bearings in order.
LBB have sort of underdog spirit in their soul. That's kind of who they are. The top end talent on Takeover is really good. I know
it should be better.
I know Ryan Dobbs Garnett's very average, but the other guys on the team are really, really good. It makes you wonder if LBB have the capital to handle it, right? Like I've said it before, the best defender doesn't play defense, right? So
yeah,
it comes down to guys. It comes down to Olivier Laberge, who's very good in his own right. Olivier Piloto is very good two-way. Although Olivier Piloto, the main thing with him is he gives away his position defensively too easily. So he's on one side of the coin the best defender, but if you have the courage to attack that, there is something to be had. But of course, he can also make you pay if you're not accurate, and if Ian Eber's slow to make the read, he can make him pay for that. So it all comes down to how well Ian plays, and that's going to decide the game.
In a row.
Yeah,
they lost some bad games, right? They lost to Hurley's and Sons. They got wrecked by Top Season, and lost to Santar by 1.
So Top Season's a really good team, but the other 2 games should have been wins.
They should have been at minimum 5-5.
They dominated Mongoose, who's a good team. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I just think that Ian Ehaber.
Well done.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Now no one can say his name.
Yeah. Anyway.
It sucks because I like him so much as a person.
He's a nice guy.
He's
really
such
nice
a good
guy.
dude.
Really
and
nice
I've ruined his name for no reason. I sometimes have trouble sleeping at night because of the person I am.
Okay, fair enough. He's got to get into rhythm early.
Yeah.
And if he gets into the rhythm early, I don't think LBB has a chance to keep up with him. But if he's off course and a little fizzy skitty early on.
You have 2 unguardable receivers.
I know, but the problem is that he's not being able to connect. I know Vincent Benjamin put up really good numbers and Will Power put up really good numbers, but there isn't that clutch play that they've had this year.
And Gab Paquette only being targeted 13 times. Julian Wilson having an okay season.
Ochieto as well. Like he played 5 games, but wasn't utilized as well with his size that he has.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's a fascinating matchup. It's a compelling matchup with these 2 teams going at it this weekend or Monday. That is. On to Div 3 as we make our way up the ladder here. Thor's Hammer against Killa Bees. So Thor's Hammer against Killa Bees.
They previously played in week 3. Thor's Hammer won 32-25.
So this Thor's hammer is a joke of a roster when it comes to talent. So deep, like they have some really good players on Thor's hammer.
That was a weird way to say that.
I know.
As long as you acknowledge.
But do Killer Bees have an answer for Anthony Breezewell?
No. No.
So,
Like who's the elite defender to take away Anthony Breezewell? Size, speed, ability to read his cuts. I'm sorry, my voice is dying. I've been talking for 4 straight hours.
yeah,
I'm fighting through this.
yeah,
I'm the real warrior here.
yes, you are. Then after that,
Who's the guy? But who's the guy for Killer Bees? That
No
you
one.
See? Like
But even if they did stop him, then you have John Laristis.
yeah. Who, by the way, one of the best route runners in FPF.
Yeah, and even if you stop him, you have Dawson Pierre. And even if you stop him,
It's comical.
you got Adam Rockman.
Yeah.
And even if you stop, you got the Marty Freeman. And then if you stop him, you got James Drysdale. And then Benny McMahon.
It's stupid. That's the deepest roster in all of FPF.
And yet they finish as a 3 seed in this division.
I know. It's just some weirdness.
If Mo Khan's playoff idea came through, we would have had a different matchup. Anyway, the point is this, though. Killer Bees have
So is it just that they need to score? Like, do they just need to score at the same pace?
Sure.
Like, kind of like what they did to Blessed, where they just outscored them.
Yeah. No, and I think Killer Bees are a good team. And Dan Lazaro, who writes for the Div 3 article, is really high on them. Like, he thinks they can pull off an upset.
Well,
back in the
Montreal
mid-season.
Duby is good.
Yeah.
He protects the ball. He scores. His completion percentage is bonkers. I venture to say most of the games he's played quarterback they've won. That's what I remember from when I looked it up. He also played against some of the weaker teams, but he was 12 for 12 against Blessed.
Yeah.
12 for 12, 7 touchdowns, right? Like against a really good defense.
Yeah, and I just think now that if this is high scoring, Thor's Hammer's going to hammer these guys. Like, this can put the nail in the coffin.
I think so, because we saw that against Silent Ticklers too, right? So
yeah.
Okay, they got away with it with Bless, but Bless could have easily won that game if just a ball bounces differently, right? And then Jordan Panetta lights them up because, again, they don't have it defensively. And then, to your point, the embarrassment of riches on Thor's Hammer is stupid.
Sheesh Le Malou. They played each other, I think, last week of the year at Loyola, which Sheesh won.
I don't know who I'm picking for this game. Like, at this moment of the show, I don't know who I'm picking.
Yeah, both teams are banged up. Like, Ariel Labadie is banged up. The quarterback for Le Malou, and it's blanking out of my mind because we've been going through these games. Like,
Anthony
They did play last week, by the way. 26-24 sheesh.
Yeah,
Fraser
Fraser Beauchamp. He's banged up. I don't know if he's playing this week.
Beauchamp Fraser, that's it.
Yeah,
I got to reverse. That's why I can.
He wasn't a big fan of us either as
Why?
well.
I feel like okay. Well, no. I mean, I've had some words in games against Melud, but as a media guy, I've been high on them.
Yeah.
You know what? Stop being soft. Stop crying. Win a game.
So I just think
Enemies.
This came down to the last play, and that's because Andrew Langbert was a little bit sloppy in the second half. So in this case,
I think this is a bad matchup for Sheesh in general. Like, even if healthy, the physicality, the size,
they can lean on them.
Think of all the film study he's going to be doing in preparation for
But
this.
he has
game,
no
though.
film because we were outdoors at Loyola.
Oh,
so
that's
he
what
has-
you think. If anything, he has more film. He has all the angles.
he got all the drones. He connected them to satellites.
I want to know if someone knew that he was filming these games, if someone would intentionally throw the football at his camera.
I would miss.
Yeah, but would Beauchamp Frieza?
No.
Well, there you go.
That's why I don't understand his problem. Maybe he just has problems.
So,
But we talked about Vincent Marset
yeah,
before, right?
Him right now, exactly. Yeah.
And he is a monster defensively.
Nice guy too.
He's so good. His when he sits on the back hip and does that trail technique,
Yeah.
he has that next gear where he can undercut the receiver. It's a thing of beauty. Louis-Philippe Paquette, great two-way player. Ludwig Janjani is a matchup nightmare because of his size.
Jaga Malat, he's the guy that gets under your. He's a Draymond. He's an ultimate Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Like, he gets under your skin and.
Yeah, like again, I would imagine the Malud issue is back when I was with Moose. There was a lot of two very physical teams who chirped a lot. Like, it makes maybe that's what it is, but I'm telling you, Dragon Millet, another physical guy on that team. Like the size is going to be an issue for Sheesh. I think. At this point, I don't know who I'm picking.
It's not.
This might be one of the games where I pick an underdog because I just see it as a bad matchup.
I think Lambert needs another year of Div 3 football,
which is fine.
Yeah,
I
think he's not ready yet to take the next step.
He's getting it. Just they're a small team.
They are, but they're quick.
But they're gonna get pressed. They're gonna get bumped. They're gonna get frustrated.
They get leaned on.
Yeah.
Touch it, catch it, Bearskins. So they met
week 7. Touch it, catch
crushed.
it. 37 Bearskins.
Yeah,
14.
they got crushed. So, and speaking to a player who shall remain nameless,
initials.
I can't because he's going to chew me out.
Give me the wrong initials.
This player has a vowel in his name.
No, give me the wrong initials.
N-E.
N-E. So we know it's nobody with the name N-E. We're process of elimination. It'll only take us a couple of years.
Yeah. So this is a game where I look at Fred Mellette and Neil Edinson. Both can have incredible efforts or they're terrible efforts. And I think one of these guys is going to have a really bad game on the weekend when they play each other.
It always feels like that's Fred Mellette though in playoffs, right?
I don't call him, shortcoming here, but he's always come up short in the playoffs.
There is a level of intensity that's different in the playoffs. Mistakes get amplified, and it tends to get in his own head because it's never for lack of ability.
But I don't think his team has confidence in him, by the way. I could be wrong,
I mean,
but it
I
feels like they don't have
I
confidence.
haven't spoken to them.
I've scored up a few of their games, and it feels like Lapointe, Allard, AJ, Gomez. I don't know if they fully feel like he's the man, like he's the dude that can carry the load.
I don't know because again I'm not on that team. I think they have a good matchup against Bearskins. Bearskins a bit more plodding. They have the size to deal with a lot of their bigger athletes. In Jordan Lard, for example. They have size, they have speed. I don't know if this is the season for Bearskins. We've talked about Neil Edinson and his shortcomings as an FPF quarterback, but to be honest, when it comes to playoffs, he's done the opposite. He's exceeded expectations, right?
Yeah.
He
led his roster around him.
He led his team to a championship when they weren't particularly favored. Like they were sort of like a team that was like, okay, they're good and I can see them winning, but I don't think any of us even picked them that year. Like the media panel probably picked against them that year, if I'm not mistaken.
So they're a good roster around him.
They are. But I don't know if they're quite the roster that Touchy Catch.
Yeah.
Because AJ Gomes is a lot. Marc-André Lapointe on defense is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And again, the size of Isaiah Lard, it's just a lot. It's a lot all over the place.
Easy W, Expendables. Expendables are playing terrible football. Junior DeFazio, 11-9 T's in the last 4 games. That's expected.
It's not.
But they won their last matchup 27-26 in week 4.
Yeah, but that was with Carmen Palice. I don't think Carmen threw that game. I don't think both quarterbacks threw in that game. If we can double check that Eagle, I think both quarterbacks were not involved with that matchup. So it's a question of which Gino will we get on the weekend, and
on top of that, EZW's played Gino, or the guys from EZW played Gino in co-ed so many times the last couple seasons. Like they're familiar with him. They know what he does.
It was Nicolas Blais along with Carmen Palice. So Carmen's last game. So the current quarterbacks in this game did not play in the matchup that we had back in Feb. So I score kept the Expendable game last Sunday. Man, Gino was terrible. Like he soiled the game. Like he soiled that game.
But the team is not built for him to be the quarterback.
No, it's not. He doesn't have the arm strength to match up with what he's.
But even at that, it's not a team built for Gino. It's a team built for Carmen.
That's right.
So like, if you know that you're not Carmen Palice, which Carmen has a strong arm and he's really good at hitting sort of those outside routes in stride. And the thing is, if you're not that and Gino DeFazio, like you would have built a roster that favors your skill set. That's not this team. That's not what this team is. and unfortunately, I think that may cause them some headaches, especially against a young, fast team like ECW, who's I know we used to joke about their defense, but their defense has gotten better. Like, it's not perfect, but they need to stop. If they get a stop, they win this game.
Right.
Because Jeremy White's been incredible. We talked about Alex Fafard as being the most improved player in FPF.
Yeah.
He might be the most improved player of the last year, calendar year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, wasn't he like a Div 5 quarterback 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, 2 years
right?
ago.
And
Like that.
he had a ridiculous season in Div 3.
This game could get out of hand quickly. And I watched me be wrong that Expendables will win, but
Expendables have a lot of institutional knowledge, but Etienne Laurent Gervais, JC Ferland, Seal Living, it's so much speed, so much height, so much athletic ability. I don't know, man.
it's gonna be fascinating. Let's put it that way.
Look, there's good players all over Expendables, right?
Yeah.
Probably a touch, like Justine Edwards, Andrew Carruthers have some size, but I do they have the speed to keep up with the young kids?
That's gonna be the key. I don't think they do. On to Div 2.
We're close,
Eagle,
boys. We're close.
Yeah, Eagle. Is there a reason why the schedule's not up for Div 2?
It is because you have to click the Division 1 and 2 one. Again, this is a Rob issue.
But I did.
No,
I
you
went,
didn't.
Yeah, I went to Division 1 and 2 schedule.
There.
What's the...
I clicked the Division 1-2 schedule. It's there.
Oh, here we go. There.
There's no specific
Yeah,
people.
it's... Yeah, it's one of those games where someone's going to have to wear pennies because they both wear white uniforms.
That's the least fun part about it. Pennies are never the fun
But
part.
here's the funny part, though, right?
It's like, wow, I brought a keg. Really? I brought pennies.
But here's the funny part, though.
They played week 1, by the way. Jean Smajic won 37-26.
Yes. So I'm in Laval for the game. So if I have their field, guess what I have? White pennies.
No.
Yep. I got those disjointed, discolored uniforms that we have.
But wait, they're not white
not
pennies.
white.
They're rainbow.
It's not rainbow. It's just like white, red square, white, yellow square, white, green square.
It's not that white.
That's rainbow.
It's rainbow.
I don't think
It's
rainbow.
multicolored. If you were buying a shirt from a store, like a dress shirt, it wouldn't say white. It would say multicolored.
Perhaps. Okay, so UMB ballers. I had a key stat I want to bring up to you. So
Yeah.
you can kick off with your breakdown of that game. I'll find the stat first.
B-ballers are fun. I don't know if they're fully formed at this point yet. But Guillaume Belland, Jeremy Murphy, Vincent Beauregard, Charles Verreau, they're a good combination of sort of tackle dudes and some guys who are tackle dudes who've been in FPF for a little while. Jeremy Augustin is smart, really good defender. It comes down to whether or not William Trossier can just be a little bit better than he was in regular season.
See, but
He was
who's-
solid, but not better than solid.
Right, but who's U of M more worried about? Jeremy Murphy or Guillaume Belland? Like, if there's something you have, okay.
So Guillaume Belland serves as sort of the make plays in space, make things happen.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Murphy is their downfield threat. Right?
Yeah.
So and the thing is have the players to defend both. So I don't think it worries them either way per se. It would take B-ballers forcing turnovers, and it would take Trotsier to play a perfect game, which he hasn't really this season.
No, but he's got these weird arm angles that he makes some ungodly throws. Like, holy cow, that's
he throws sort of off schedule really well. He can throw with the rushers right in his face and just throw
Yeah.
around him, and it's
almost like Mahomes-esque.
it's fun to watch. On defense, Justice Dupuis does that thing where he kind of plays that rover role and
Yeah.
can support in different areas. I think he's going to help sort of minimize what Belland does. So maybe look for Jeremy Murphy to have a big game, but then
Or
they
JD
might just take
Chevalier.
that away with JD or AJ
Yeah.
Gomes or whatever, just one of the ridiculous athletes on Jean Smedzic. Jean Smedzic they're built to be the warhorse, right? They're
Right.
they have everything across the board. They have size, they have speed. their best players all qualified for playoffs. We just talked about two guys with size and speed, and we didn't even talk about Alexis Gomo.
Yeah,
Right? Like
for sure.
he's. It's like they're cloned in a factory at this point with what they have, And Marc-Antoine Vallée as a rusher is very, very good. He'll force a lot of those off-schedule throws, right?
Right.
So
Right. Terror Squad All Hooks. The Terror Squad boys winning that game over All Hooks.
32-20, week 8. Yep.
That's right. All Hooks, should they be concerned about Tam's Villades's arm because he passed for 55 touchdowns, 70% passing, or his legs?
yes,
Okay, perfect.
you got to worry about both. That's
But
Tam.
what's the biggest
Tam
concern?
was to me every time when I started playing an FPF, they're like, a mobile quarterback can't win an FPF, and I would just be like, I literally have the best example of it right here. Guy is a winner.
I love
He's
how that's
awesome.
even like the Lamar Jackson script in the NFL. It's like, well,
It's the
can he
laziest
get any
thing.
win with his offense? Bro, he's like 37-12 or something.
Yeah,
It's
that-
the same
that-
story with Tam all over again.
That
Well-
narrative is the reason the Whipple doesn't exist anymore.
Well, the Baltimore offense was actually in the last third of offensive efficiency during Lamar's last couple of years. So
Wins, bruh.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the offense winning. It's the defense has done until last year. Anyway, that's another story for another day. So,
Wasn't Lamar Jackson an MVP candidate?
like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
but his numbers have gone down.
Okay.
They've
But he was
regressed.
you talking about an MVP in the NFL?
He's regressed, though. There's a reason why they don't get number one
So
receivers.
did Tom Brady regress? Because he did
Well,
technically.
no, there's a reason
Last
why,
season he
there's a
regressed.
reason why that no alpha receiver will go play with Lamar Jackson. It's not based on
That's a
receivers.
narrative you're making up.
No, it's not.
You're being a
no.
'90s journalist.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
the reality is Lamar Jackson can't play
They just
with.
didn't get him
Really?
a top tier receiver.
Really?
Yeah.
When all those, why are we talking about NFL for? We're
I
talking
don't know.
FBF.
Because you're saying nonsense.
I'll talk to you on Hot Sauce Sports about that one. All right. Okay. So for Terra Squad though, and for All Hooks, what is the key for them? Is it the concern of the arm of Tam or his leg?
Yes. My answer's the same. It's
What's
both things. That's the thing that makes Tam special. That he does this in Division 2, right? Like that he's that good at both. That he's that good at throwing. That he's that good at running. He's devastating. He's a one-man wrecking crew. Like Terror Squad surprised me. I didn't think that this would be the kind of team they had this season. I thought they'd be good. I thought it'd be sort of middle of the pack. And no, they're a really good team. Serge Pilon, obviously great season, but Nick Rapini making the jump into Div 2 and filling the gap right away. Vincent Malo was a guy I loved watching in low divisions, and he was great. They don't have Tommy Rodley Trajados because he went down to play in Mexico, but overall the team's well built, right? Like it's not just Tam trying to figure it out
No.
with Pat Jerome anymore, right? Like and who was what else am I thinking of? The ball dude, Chenard. Like, yeah.
Ball dude.
Listen, I didn't make up hair. But yeah, like in the past it was
ball dude.
in the past it was like them and then like trying to
Yeah.
bring in a couple of pieces. No, this is what Terror Squad is, right? Like they have the pedigree and Serge Pilon and Pat Chenard and but bringing in low cap, high quality players like Vincent Malo, Nick Gropini, not doing that BS thing of like, oh, these are low division players. Nah, they're talented. Bring in talent and get them up to speed. They'll learn quick.
AJ Gomes made fun of Gropini because it was at Loyola and it was a Hail Mary play, last play of the game, lost to KGP that day, by the way. And he came up short. And AJ was like, oh, Gropini's the next big receiver. I go, he probably is the next big receiver in FPF, but not that moment where he had the moment to shine, which he did not do. By the way, we have a Sean Avram, best spring quarterback.
Was he ranked 12th out of 11?
No.
Okay.
Anyway, 37 touchdowns, though. Oof, that's pretty low, though. Eh?
That is
Quarterback.
low for
Okay, anyway,
quarterback.
when we look at the next game here, #NR and Party Crashers.
They played week 8.
31-26.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you very much. So NR's 4 losses have come against teams with better overall records here. They're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team, Peas, I find. Like, they have talent, but if it doesn't feel like they play up to like the heavyweights and they play down to their competition.
Who, you mean of #NR?
Yeah, #NR, yeah.
Yeah, they've been kind of middle of the pack, right? And that's kind of what you're getting is they beat the teams you expect them to beat, and they lose to teams that they haven't surprised us with any big wins, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the DNA has been, and it's the opposite of what hashtag NR was starting through FPF, right? They were the team, the surprising upstart.
Everyone loved to hate.
Yeah,
we were all in the documentary. Were you in the documentary?
I was not. Only
No.
my voice. My voice.
My
was like
voice was in for about like 25 minutes. Eagle was a star focus of the documentary.
my voice on calls were in it, but my
Did
me
you get
as a
credit for
person
it?
was not
Did you
in
get
it.
like a rolling credit for
I
it?
did not get a rolling credit for it.
So you can sue that documentary for using.
It's
you.
okay. I'm all good.
Come on, how
I
come on, do
enjoyed
it. Do it. Do it. Sue
No, I
us.
was at the premiere. I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Oh,
To be
man.
honest, it's fun to not be the voice all the time. It was nice to take a back seat.
Oh
It was-
man, you should have sued the man for.
And I was in front of the camera.
Yeah, you
so
were.
Swapped
You-
roles
you-
there.
It's true, eh?
You
That's true.
were rocking that FPF vest, man, like a proud member of the FPF world that you are.
I don't even know if I have that anywhere.
I don't know what they do. I think I gave it to my cousin.
I literally have it with me right now.
How is it, brother? Is it warm enough?
It's very warm.
So, but what is it? What is it about the team? Because like Quade Johnson, Kendall Myers, Matt Kerouac, Jared Taylor.
I don't think Jared is eligible. I don't
he
think
played
he has
7 games.
Was he-
5 games.
five.
Sorry,
Okay,
5
so
games.
he got because he's not eligible for his Div 1.
Yeah, But
Gryffindor.
but Travis Moses, like that's a good team.
It's a good team, but they haven't put it together.
But why is that?
Lack of attendance. Like
Okay.
guys missing games. Not the same
I
roster.
mean, you
It's
say
not-
that
no, but you
there's
say-
they have
They don't
was
have
it-
that big a roster. Like
they have 7 people that are playoff eligible, 5 of which have 10 games played.
right, but
Actually, no,
they've
8.
o-
'cause
they've,
Moses
they've,
too,
they've
yeah.
only had 2 players who've played for them, who played like a single game. That were subs.
like Jared Taylor's a guy that they were high on, and half the games he missed. But it's weird because in games that they lost to the bigger teams, it was competitive and close, but they just couldn't find that end product to win that football game. Now you're playing a Party Crashers team that they too, remember, they got the flying start to the year, and they kind of stumbled into the playoffs here.
Yeah.
And I look at Emile Tafer and Phil Farron, they combined for 25
But
touchdowns.
that's a team with attendance issues, right? Like they've
Right.
had a billion players on the roster. They have had Guillaume Ward, who didn't play a single game. They
yeah.
had Nathan Tran, who didn't play a single game. They had Peter Natulis, who didn't play a single game. They had Phil Angers play a single game. We call that the Phil Angers special.
Right, but I think they can be neutralized, Farron and Tafer, with the ability of NR.
Well, yeah, because
So
again,
who's-
like if you
who's-
add Guillaume Paquette and Guillaume Ward and like a lot of these pieces,
Yeah, but
those two pieces,
But then who's the next
they're
guy up?
impossible.
Is it Frank Hogue? And Frank Hogue's not going to scare anyone from Norwell Guard.
Frank Hogue is a nice, good, solid piece who can play a lot of different
But if that's
positions.
if that's your third option, he's not going to scare anyone on that team.
No.
Maybe on defense,
it's like-
maybe he gets snaggles at the defense player.
Because
But
Guillaume Paquette should have been the number 1 option.
right,
And then you have Emile Tafer and Phil Farron, and that's a ridiculous trio, right?
yeah. So I just think that Freddie, like, and here's we talk about Sinagra's lack of FPF experience. Right now it's playoffs, things can happen, and who knows what. Fred Dupuis has experience. Like he's been to a finals in Div 1 way back in before P's era, and
No, I think it might have been beginning of his era.
it was 2006.
Was it?
Yeah, 2006.
He had a deep run, not recently, but while I was in FPF as
yeah,
well.
and with his CLR forces.
So the 2006, CLR Forces, that was one.
yeah,
2006 didn't happen.
yeah, before P's era.
Those games don't exist.
No, but
Hurricanes never played FPF.
he can definitely turn it on, right? Like this is his time to shine, and he can do it. And that's where I think he has the edge over Sinagra in this column of experience at this juncture of the season.
So Fred Dupuis, the only guy who stops Fred Dupuis is Fred Dupuis. Right?
Yeah.
We've seen it. It's he has games where he's just not sharp. He has games where he doesn't play, because when he's at his best, he's amongst the best in FPF. And,
Sure.
we saw it. He did well in Division 2, right? And so they did win the last 2 games. They were incredibles. We expected that win, and they got that win. The B-Ballers are a plucky, fun team,
Yeah.
but Party Crashers we expected to be better, and they were that day, right? So that is he's got himself in position to continue the momentum into the playoffs.
Right.
The thing is, they did lose to #NR last time they played, right?
Yeah.
And why did they lose? Fred Speed threw 2 interceptions.
And he got frustrated in that game.
Yeah.
You
But
never-
that's the thing that happens. You know,
yeah.
like,
KHP Apocalypse, they played each other, in fact, last week.
I was gonna say this. I love when this happens, where you play each other and then you play each other again.
And
I
they
don't know,
won
it's just like-
on the
yeah.
last play, more or less here. So my biggest concern for KHP of late now is their slow starts. Like coming out of the blocks, they are slow, but they're kind of like Usain Bolt. They come out slow, but they just gain momentum and then they blow away the competition at the end. I feel like it can burn them now because Phil Cutler, it just feels like he's always off course early on in games and he gets frustrated.
Are you doubting KGP?
I am.
Have you not learned your lesson?
I have learned my lesson, but I am down them because they just look a little bit vulnerable because they barely scraped by Apocalypse. They lost their last game.
They scored 42 points against Apocalypse.
But they had to come back from behind, though.
Yeah.
You know,
But isn't
Apocalypse.
that positive?
But Jeff Rosenblatt just did not play well. He soiled the bed in the second half. They should have won that game. But I just find that KGP is just not as convincing in this edition of this roster of how they play.
But you say that, so not just you. We've said that about KGP for as long as I've been on.
But would you take
Audible.
them over Terror Squad today?
No.
No.
Over Apocalypse? Maybe. Find out later. in the
Find
show.
out on Sunday when they play each other. Whenever
No,
they play.
find
Monday,
find out later in the show when we make our picks.
or
but,
Wednesday when they play each other.
Phil Cutler's got a lot of speed to play with KGP and Mathieu Lapage as well, right? Like he's not that speedster for the team, but he fills an important role which KGP didn't always have. Is really good route running, smart possession receiver, and Apocalypse have that Jeff Rosenblatt system that's super effective. Paul Lapierre is that big snapper who fills the role for Yanni Lehrer, right? On this version of the team.
Right.
And this is a team, conversely, that I think has players that can help mitigate Anthony Brisebois, as he does put up 3 touchdowns last game, though. Like, you're not going to stop Anthony Brisebois, so just try and take it away in key moments, essentially.
Yeah, and I just find that I think Jeff Rosenblatt has to have a perfect game, and he hasn't done that. And Div 2 is a big jump for him. Yeah. Like Div 3, he's really good. But Div 2, though, you can see. And
well, Iggy and I were saying that the biggest 2 jumps in FPF is Div 6 to Div 5 and Div 3 Div 2.
Yeah, and Paul Lapierre's giving him some tough love on it, right? Saying, dude, you got to be assertive. Like, you can't be gun shy. Like, you have to make that throw. And look, Dylan Garber did not play in that game, and I think Dylan Garber is a security blanket for Phil Cutler, and I think that helps. Yeah. But in this case, though,
but Jonathan Garfinkel fills that role too.
He does. He's over the middle, but Garber is a wideout, and he's got this unique traits about him that people underestimate him, saying, "Oh, he's not gonna do anything," and then bam.
It's his stature. He's diminutive. He's not a guy who talks a lot on the field.
No.
But he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Good hands. He's quick.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's quicker than fast.
Exactly, and smart, high
Faster
IQ,
than slow.
high IQ football
Smarter
player,
than
smart,
dumb.
good route runner, technician out there.
He's got more hair than Pachinard. That's one of the metrics for Div 2.
Exactly. So look, this could come down to the last play. This as it was last Sunday, but I just think that if KHP gets off to a flyer, then they will not be touching this football.
And also, Julien Payma. Don't look at sacks in Div 1 and 2, but Julien Payma is an elite rusher. He's going to pressure Rosenblatt. All it takes for Rosenblatt is to get him to throw when he's less comfortable, and Julien Payma excels at that.
For sure.
He'll have an impact even if you don't see a stat from him on defense.
Right. It is now time for
Co-ed
of the week.
Oh, I forgot about Cohen. My bad. Oh man, I forgot. We are just plowing through these things here.
We're actually very close. There's only 2 games in Co-ed 1 because Easy Fun is going to take a forfeit victory against Sriracha Hot Chili Sauce. They're unavailable. They don't have enough players to field a roster, and they don't want to do the IR replacement thing. So,
and apparently they would, because they would also not have enough for the next week.
Exactly.
So.
Okay,
so it's unfortunate there, but the first game we're going to look at is Power Rangers and Average and Savage. This is a 2 versus 7
I like
seed.
that game.
They played week 10. Power Rangers won 37-14. So that's the general gist. Mo, I hope I filibustered enough there.
Yes, thank you. So are we looking at this as being the ultimate mismatch now for Average and Savage trying to take on Power Rangers in the ultimate?
I actually think Average and Savage can put up a fight. I think they can put up a fight. They look, the last 2 weeks they kind of showed their colors, right? Like or last 3 weeks they played against Party Mix, they played against Power Rangers, they played against Party Mix, and they struggled in all 3 games, right? They're definitely not one of the top tier teams, but they've played their last 3 games at that level. Like they know what the competition is. It's not like they played a weak team and they're expecting to come in and dominate right away. In the last game that they played, right, where they played Party Mix, who I put on par with Power Rangers, right, like we've done all season. Alexis Labonte made the two mistakes. He made the two interceptions. That's the difference. Is he just needs to play a clean game, and they're not going to get many stops. They just need to go score for score. But if they slow down the game, and if Alexis Labonte gives himself just easy plays to read and can march the ball downfield and keep the ball out of Francois Delorier's hands, I think that's the best opportunity. Richard Gagnon can help put them in good position. They need to use all the receivers. It's been the thing for them all season long, is they're too reliant on their male receivers. It's just not a way that you can't win that way in co-ed, because the other team knows you're not using all your receivers.
Right.
You know, and Rachel Gagnon is really good, but she's only got targeted 16 times throughout the season. Julien Prou, awesome, but he can't just be a one-man show. And, you know, Jeanne Gravel is the next piece too, where she's that sort of possession, like, I'm not sure if she's snapper or not, but she plays that kind of role where it's short routes, get the ball out of Alexi's hand and move down the field. I think if they can sort of stretch the field with their male receivers, target the female receivers, who I think they'll have more favorable matchups, maybe they can go score for score. And keep it low scoring, but go score for score. Like 20, 26, 24 kind of thing. Hopefully you get them on converts, you know.
Bishop Sycamore takes on 2.5 Kittens. They split 1-1.
Yeah, so
3.5
they played
points.
in week 4. 2.5 Kittens won 33-30, and then they played again in week 8, and Sycamore took it 28-24. So pretty close games overall.
3.5 points margin of victory here for either side. Sarah Parker, the quarterback for Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, and Sarah Parker left the field after the women's final. We were saying bye. And we're like, hey, so, like, you know, would you be interested in working the road show? And she basically said, no, I'll be playing on the finals. So
A very ambitious statement, given what she has ahead of her if they do advance.
she has the best roster in co-ed. So that's the wild thing, right? Because the thing is that the way, because you mentioned the loss to 2.5 Kittens. That's right around when Bishop Sycamore started learning the game.
Yeah.
They lost that game by 3 points, but then went on to beat Average and Savage. Went on to beat Power Rangers. Beat Average and Savage again. Like, they've been on a run, and it took a little bit for them to learn. And now, with no disrespect to Tommy Rodley Trojados, because he's awesome, but Sarah Parker's just a more experienced quarterback, and you're handing her this ridiculous and dangerous roster.
And when you got Robbie Bastappen, Kevin Malanga, Omar Torre.
Jessica Bostappen as well.
Yeah, and Michelin Geblis as well. And
I
athletes.
thought Joyce Janelle also, but she didn't play a game.
Yeah. That is a pretty impressive Fab Five.
Just size, athleticism, everything.
Well, Omar Torre is just some size mismatch. He's like 6'8", and the dude's like big.
Jessica Bostappen too I saw her in person. I was like, oh, you're tall.
So I see Sarah Parker's point of, yeah, they can run the table, but they are gonna, playing this team here in Kittens over here. That's a tricky proposition. It's not gonna be easy to overcome a team that's played them tough in 2 games this past season in co-ed.
They're 6-0 in the last 6 games.
They're streaking. Yeah, they're rolling.
They would have, if not the game they lost before, they lost by 3 points. And again, they had an upgraded quarterback.
Yeah.
And I venture to say, maybe save for the championship team in Tampa, this is the best roster Sarah Parker's played with.
Yeah, and look, she's got a bit of a chip on her shoulder, right? Because what
Yeah.
happened in spring season when they lost in the finals.
I think it's Party Mix that's her kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
She keeps losing to
The
Party Mix.
size of Party Mix. But again, if they do face Party Mix at some point, you wonder if the length, the telescopic arms.
Or will they? Bum, bum, bum.
Find out. But that's it. Excuse me. Oh, my God.
What's happening to you?
I don't know. Losing my voice. If kids have a telescopic rusher with arms that can take away passing lanes, that is her biggest issue.
Well, because she's not a tall quarterback, right? So we've talked about this on the show on this episode.
Yeah.
So You need to sort of have design rollouts. You need to have plays that flood the sidelines. Sarah knows all this. She knows more about. She's forgotten more about quarterbacking than I'll ever know. So
Yeah.
I have no doubt that she'll be prepared. I'm curious. I'd like to see this team go on a deep run.
Co-ed 2.
Only 2 games in this one, thankfully, question mark. We're going to start off with the Y&Y versus Team Commando game. They played last in week 8. Y&Y took it 26-16.
This is an unbalanced playoff bracket. Yin and Yang are better than Team Commando. Team Commando showed some promise.
They also played week 4, 26-18 Y&Y.
Yeah. Clovis Desrocher, Edouard Gagnon, really good. Mathilde Latulippe as well. Nice trio of receivers. Just didn't get it all together. They've had 3 players start games at quarterback. Louis Philippe Note played the most games at the position. It would take a lot for them to overcome Yin and Yang, or just an experienced co-ed team.
Yeah, I can't see Yin and Yang losing this game.
Yeah,
It's
it would be tough.
you would need Schwarzenegger to help out Team Commando.
Yeah. Again, there's that trio of receivers, but I just think that there's too much on the side of Yin and Yang.
Yeah, I just can't see that happening from that. With 300s and La Secte.
They played twice, including last week where La Secte took it 12-7, but then previously in week 2 where they tied 18-18.
I don't know why La Secte is such a rough matchup for 300s.
It's one of
300s
those
to me should be a much better team than La Secte. I think so. Alessandro Francione, he's a really good defender, and 300s like to go deep, and he's really good at taking away large parts of the field. In the last game, we saw him get an interception that changes the game completely. Just have to be more. 300s just have to be more patient on offense.
they're more twitchy because like 300s in the last 4 games have scored a grand total of 30 points.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's they kind of skidded to end the season. La Secte are just this point more organized, and like it's they're at a point where they're playing better. They're playing better ball. They also didn't have Rekka this past game. That she's a huge deal for 300s.
Right.
She's their snapper, and she's a snapper who can catch a ball and take it next level.
Well, this will go you more in depth. 300s, 7 games of 20 points or less.
Yeah, but they're big play offense, and they're a good defense.
Coming up empty on those roll of the
They
dice.
are though. It's a lot of they beat Fit Squad.
Yeah,
And they beat Fit Squad by just continuously chucking it downfield and playing defense. It's not sustainable, but they can catch
but
you.
La Secte has a chance.
Yeah.
They have a chance.
Oh,
to go through.
I think that La Secte would actually be favored at this point.
Right. It's
Just
now
with how
time
the game-
for.
Games of the week.
My God, it's 11:15 p.m.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours.
But
and
under
45
3
minutes.
hours.
I know.
We just started late because we had to rebuild the
Yeah, I
studio.
know.
So we're gonna go in reverse order here. Co-ed 2, Y&Y Team Commando.
Why and why?
Why?
3 Hunas, La Secte.
La
La
Secte.
Secte.
Power Rangers and Average and Savage, Co-ed 1.
So I'm just, my mind's going much. Can you say that again? I'm
Power
Co-ed 1,
Rangers.
Power Rangers, Average and Savage.
Power Rangers. Sorry, I just lost the train of
That
thought.
happens to me too. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I was like,
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Power Rangers.
Bishop Sycamore, 2.5 Kittens.
BS.
yeah, yes.
All right, Division 1 and 2, in this case 2. Urgence Medic and B-Ballers.
UM.
Terror Squad, All Hooks.
Terror Squad.
Terror Squad. Fun game though.
Hashtag NR, Party Crashers.
NR.
Party Crushers.
KGP, The Apocalypse.
KGP.
KHP in a close one.
Division 3, Thor's Hammer, Killabees.
Thors.
Thors.
Sheesh, Les Malud.
I'm doing it. Les Malheuds. Underdogs.
Sheesh.
Let's go.
Sheesh.
Touch It, Catch It, Bearskins.
Touch a catch it.
Touch it, catch it.
Easy W, Expendables.
Easy W.
Easy W.
4A, Blackouts, Big Fun.
Blackouts.
Yeah, blackouts.
Bruins, Small Giants.
Small Giants. It's outdoors. I'm going Small Giants. Laval's their backyard.
What's the game again? I wasn't
Bruins,
listening.
Small Giants.
I'll go Small Giants.
The Stoics, Centaur.
Stoics.
Stoics.
Takeover, LBB.
I hate picking this game.
Take over. and a
Take
close
over,
one.
but I don't know.
All right, Division 4B, Team Ethnic, Mofos.
Mofos.
Weird game. Team Ethnic.
Les Verchevol, Los Locos.
LVF.
LVF.
Honey Martin, Arouche.
Honey Martin.
Golden Eagles.
They're still False Kings though.
Yeah.
Golden Eagles, Voodoo.
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 Division 5A, Balls Deep, Streets Ahead.
Balls deep.
Streets ahead.
Backwoods Football Club, Mighty Six.
Backwoods.
Backwards.
Goofy Goobers, Longhorns.
Goobers.
GG.
Wubba Lubba Dub W's, Los Banditos.
Los Banditos.
Yeah, at least.
Division 5B, Red Dragons, Cookers.
Dragons.
Dragons.
Save a Horse, Bin.
Horse.
Horse.
Warriors, Team Sexy.
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 What could have been two Pfizers.
No,
and fought
Warriors.
Sam
Warriors. Sorry.
Johnson. What could have been two Pfizers.
Two
Pfizers.
Pfizers.
Division 6, Beer Knights, Stratton Oakmont.
Oakmont.
Beer Knights.
West Island Boys, Wild Hogs.
West Island Boys. Always stick with
West Island Boys.
Dusters 2.0, Flamingos.
Dusters.
Dusters.
Primetime, Lionhearts.
Prime time.
Prime time.
Penetrators, Team Poland.
Penetrators.
FKU, Your Girlfriends Cheer for Us.
FKU.
FKU.
Division 6D, Spanish Inquisition, Maccabees.
Maccabees.
Spanish Inquisition.
Toon Squad, Toot Garni.
Toon Squad.
Toon.
Wait, Toon?
Toon Squad.
Okay. V-Town, Betway Bandits.
V-Town.
V-Town.
Killer Rays, Brewers.
Killer Rays.
Rays.
Flag Football Team, Cavalier du Rohan.
Flag football team.
Flag football team.
And Demons, Big Fat Bats.
Demons.
Big fat bats.
You know how good that was? The music finished.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We made it. This is other than the Iggy and Peas shows, this is the longest show of the year. So thank
Actually,
you
it
all.
wasn't
for
the
staying-
longest show of the year because
No.
it's Biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is Iggy.
We made good time, though, considering.
Yeah, if this is Iggy, we were looking at like 3.5, I think.
Oh yeah, more honestly.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 3 days.
Maybe like 3 weeks. Like by the time he's done this episode, we're on to the road show.
Yeah.
You know?
Just meet us there, Iggy.
I'll see you at the road show. Don't worry about it. Also, don't forget, spring registration is open. So for those... Yes,
Ratings have been updated again. The final ratings for spring are now uploaded. Go check out your new ratings. They've changed a bit since the last ones. Most people went down, so that's good. So yeah, that's it. Go check.
Go check. Magic words, please.
Lamar Jackson missed most of last year, Mo.
Good night, Robert Griffin III.
Must have been Hollywood.